bitch. Oh, excuse you? Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Y'all, welcome and happy Wednesday. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about what's going on in pop culture, hot topics, all that good stuff. So, if that is a show for you, definitely stick around because we got a lot of tea to spill today, including we got to talk some Scream 8 news, which is going to be awesome that we got coming up. I was like, wait a minute, now I'm hearing feedback. Hold on. Okay, we good. Um, we got some Scream 8 news, because it's grossed over $200 million. Movies available to watch at home now. So they dropped that news yesterday. We got to talk about Megan Thee Stallion, who had to cancel a couple of dates over on Broadway because she got sick. We got to talk about MAGA Barbie and her husband on here walking around with these jumbo-sized breastplates and his whole kink conversation situation bimbofication being exposed. We got to talk about T-Boz distancing herself from the whole Chilli thing, and a video, or it was basically audio, surfaced of her pretty much throwing Chilli under the bus a while ago. And now this video is coming around saying that, yeah, she basically been basically simping for Trump. So we'll get into that. Plus, we got some tea regarding In Vogue. There's a lot of infighting with a lot of the girls. Dawn Robinson came out and said some stuff. Rona Bennett came out and said some stuff. The other girls is out here being messy, so we're going to get into that tea. We also got to talk about all the biggest bombshells that came out regarding Brandy's new memoir phases. I got all of the juicy highlights of that, so we're going to break that down. Lizzo is spilling some tea regarding when she lost her virginity, and it was while she was in the music situation. We got the clip. We got to talk about Tiger Woods pleading not guilty after the whole little crashation situation, and now he's talking about he going to rehab. Okay, Amy Winehouse. Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann's divorce is taking a nasty turn. We'll get into that. We also got to talk about a Drag Race icon who pretty much was kicked out of her mother's house and is struggling. There's some housing insecurity. Said she don't mind if she'll be living in her car. We'll break all that down. Plus, we got to talk about this former member of the Bulls, because yeah, they chopped his ass over some homophobic stuff that he wound up saying. Bussy mad ass decided to jump on the line and assert himself in the conversation, because whenever it comes to the LGBTs, that old closet queen got something to say. And we got some tea regarding Pornhub and the age group who seemingly watches more adult content regarding the T in LGBT. So we have that and a whole lot more. So before we get to those topics, if you can please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash that notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new messy episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. We also have memberships and all other stuff. So if you want to subscribe in that way and send memberships or super chats, whatever the case is, you could definitely do that. I know I've been going back and forth on the whole Patreon situation, but at this point, I like giving y'all the show as it is. If you want to contribute financially in other ways, I'm definitely welcome and open to that. But I feel like the Patreon going to take a backseat for a while, especially with the way this economy is going. And I don't want to be out here trying to act like I'm Oliver with the porridge, begging y'all for some cointadas. But if you want to financially send a little cointada this way, I'm not going to hold it against you. But anyway, so let's see who's in the building. You said, oh, Onyx is here. Slater's new album giving Inner Party System, Crystal Castles, Peach's Realness, 2000, I was going to say 2000s. Electro is back, bitches. Yes. Oh, we talked about that the other day. I don't know if you jumped in the room when we was having that Slater conversation in the last episode, but yeah, that's like one of my favorite albums of the year right now. That is album of the year material. If the rest of the Grammy the Grammy voters don't want to see it that way, whatever. I don't care. But yeah, you said it's funny how you mentioned Crystal Castles. I think you also need to add Justice up in there, because I did feel a lot of the Justice vibe regarding the music. There is a bit of Peaches, there's a bit of Kesha, there's a lot of that. And you could definitely see that she's wearing a lot of her influences in this record, but it is generally Slater. And that's what I always say about artists, is like you can go and take influences from so many other people, but make it you. Don't come around here trying to sound like these other artists and it don't sound like it's authentically you. And so yeah, that's what I usually be going for. That's why I love the record. Cleveland's in the building. Said I just heard that Slater album, bitch. I told you. I told you gonna get your life. I was like that, and then and I don't know if y'all remember back in the day. Speaking of real electro clash, remember the group Adult Period? Well, they came out with a new album too, and it's definitely taking as a child. Y'all taking me back to my old electro clash stomping ground back in the because electro clash was big in New York back in the 2000s, very short lived, but I feel like now people have been able to incorporate a lot of that music and bring it into the 2020s and make it work. Yeah, there's definitely Robin in there. There's Skrillex. There's a lot of the influences. Funny enough, she doing Robin better than Robin at this point, quiet as it's kept. April Fools. But there was a story that I had, and I was like, look at, and then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna use it because it was giving. It was like it sounds too good to be true, but it's also April Fools, and I didn't see anybody else talking about it because there was a story that ran around where they were saying that Zoe Kravitz is about to star in her own HBO Max series, a Catwoman solo series. I ain't see no. I saw it on Twitter. I didn't see Deadline, Variety. I didn't even see Comic Book Movie or Superhero Hype talking about it. And I'm like, if they're not talking about it, this is a lie. So you gotta be real careful with the stories that's coming out today because there's a lot of fake stories going around. Well, look, we definitely need a deluxe. 14 tracks was not enough. I'm being greedy. I think it's probably because I was so underwhelmed with the new Robin record. I'm like, look, if Slater wants to give us more music, then Princess Superstar was doing some of that stuff in there. Yeah. hmm Saying lies and say, well, what's going on in the world? We don't need any April Fool's jokes. Exactly, because this administration already is a damn joke. So we don't need any more April Fool's jokes of what's happening in the world. Anthony Fantano came out Uh-uh. Now you can't be out here talking about you a bottom and then doing an April Fool's because I will find that man. No wait, I'm gonna be careful with that because I don't need y'all trying to T.S. Madison me, and because I am not the D.O. Whisperer and I don't go around stalking people. But Anthony Fantano is good. But don't be coming around here talking about you a bottom, sir, because I'll take you up on it. Not washed up. Look, that'd be my fear. Y'all call me washed up. Like, oh, you've been doing it so long, you washed up. I'm like, whatever. At least my ass is washed. So if you want to call it that being washed up, oh well. I don't really watch him like that though. It always depends on what he's talking about. I did see on YouTube, I didn't watch it yet, but there was a Slater interview that I definitely saved in the queue that I'm going to have to watch later. Hold on, let me look it up so I can tell y'all which one it is. Where she at? Where she at? It was called Nikki Reardon did an interview with her called The Worst Interview in America. So if y'all want to look that up, NICKYREARDON, and put that in your little history situation that y'all might want to watch that later, then you're welcome. Let me know, played us fans perfectly with April Fool's joke. Rick rolling us with what kind of fool. There's a lot of y'all out here doing it. I don't like April Fools. April Fools is so tired. I think y'all start with these stupid jokes and then y'all gonna get me mad. Nah, I was asked. Yeah, I was like 8 years, and this is what you give us. I mean, it's a couple of good songs on there, but as a collective, I'm like, girl, you could have just, girl, pay it. That's the way I felt. Well, look, hold on, I want to try something. Let me know if I am actually freezing, and I'm looking at an article as I'm asking y'all. Let me know if it's freezing. So, if it's not freezing, then we can move on with the show because I'd be tired of every time I get into one topic and then all of a sudden the thing freezes, and Ryan Gosling gained 80 pounds of fat. Wait, what's going on? I was freezing. Is that April Fool's or y'all for real? He said April Fool's Ryan Gosling gained 80 pounds of fat for the lovely bones, only to not get the Well, I'd have been mad. That's why you gotta wait until the deal. Okay, so hold on. Let me exit and then come. Annoying. I saw that Cleveland sent me I got a message on my watch and then you sent it to me in here. So I guess we're good now. So all right, y'all. Excuse me. I think with this weather change back and forth, I think I'm coming down with a cold. Let me hit my banner. And without further ado, let's get into our first topic. And let's talk about Scream 8. So I think we shouldn't be surprised that we get a Scream 8, especially with Scream 7 grossing over $200 million at the box office, which I don't think anybody saw coming. Now, don't get me wrong, the movie does have its flaws and there's issues I have with it. And then when I get through this article, I'm gonna let y'all know what it is exactly that I want from this damn franchise in order for it to move forward. So we knew that there was only a matter of time before we get a Scream 8, but I didn't think it was going to come this quick. I thought maybe they'd wait a little bit. But it says Spyglass is developing the 8th installment of the Scream franchise with Lila and Nora Zuckerman writing. The Zuckerman sisters most recently served as showrunners for the hit Peacock series Poker Face, Poker Face, Ma, and have worked as writers and co-executive producers on popular series, including Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Suits, Fringe, and Prodigal Son. The news comes as Scream 7, which saw the franchise original scribe Kevin Williamson step behind the camera for the first time on the horror series, racked up over 200 mil at the global box office. It's the first time a Scream movie has crossed that milestone in its 30-year existence. The seventh Will, which saw the return of Nev Campbell as Sydney, also opened to a franchise global record debut of 97.2 million. The Paramount co-financed movie also starred Isabel May, Courtney Cox, Anna Camp, Joel McHale, and Matthew Lillard. The Zuckermans recently wrote a pilot for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer revamp, Buffy New Sunnydale, which Chloe Zhao was expected to direct. But as y'all know, Hulu did not go forward beyond the pilot. I don't know what the reason is why they didn't go along with it, but nevertheless, we're not getting it. But Nora and Lila Zuckerman, I'm actually not mad at this because if you've ever seen Poker Face, one of the things about them on that show is that that show was all about mystery and all the other stuff. And a lot of people, including myself, have said what has been missing from a lot of the Scream movies, I would even say since 5, 6, and 7, because that's when Spyglass, I think, took it over around that time. And that's when Radio Silence and Guy Busick and all these other people came in and started doing whatever they call, an attempt at trying to write a Scream movie, and did what they did with that franchise. And I felt like the mystery was missing. Also, character development. So, if you have some people who have a background in television, one of the key things that goes within TV is background development or character development. And that's what we needed, especially when it came to Tatum's friends. And Sydney did have a pretty big arc in a lot of situations. I think it was heavily Sydney focused, but I just felt like y'all already know. I hated the third act. The killers that they chose did not, their motive behind why they were doing what they were doing with Sydney, I don't feel like was perfectly executed. Now, don't get me wrong, was I a fan of the movie? There's parts of the movie I liked. There was a lot of parts of the movie I did not like. But being that I'm a Scream fan and I want more for the franchise, I did end up buying the film. I bought it this morning because I was going back and forth. I'm like, should I not get it? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. And so Robert, friend to the show, I know you said that, yeah, well, if you buy the physical, whatever case is, you get all the bonus features. I got the bonus features included from the digital purchase that I got off Prime Video. So it comes with all the stuff. It comes with like the behind the scenes. It comes with, I think, deleted scenes, which was like, it said 5 minutes. I'm like, damn, y'all didn't cut that much from the movie. Also, it gives a behind the scenes look at I believe the kill with, what the hell's her name? Hannah. I'll say her character. Hannah, the girl that was, the act. Y'all know the actress. Why am I drawing a blank on her damn name? But the actress that played Hannah in the films, she's been McKenna Grace. Um, it gets behind the scenes on all of that and stuff. So there's the behind the scenes featurettes and all other things. I'll definitely be checking that out. I don't know. Whenever I have the time, I'll give that movie a gander again. But if we're gonna move forward with this thing, here's what I want from this franchise. Since you already have the Zuckerman sisters coming in because y'all want a bit of that mystery, definitely bring the mystery. Give us cool and interesting. I really hope that they kind of taken the idea of Scream. What was it? Scream 6, where can we get like the killer? Well, they reveal one of the killer. Well, I think two of the killers actually in the opening kill one of Samara Weaving. If y'all could do something like that, where it's like portrait of a serial killer, where we actually get the killer reveal halfway through and then we kind of follow him and people are not aware who the killer is, but you have other killers that's in that situation. I think that'd be a cool, interesting idea. Also, I feel like if we're going to bring, because we don't know who's coming back, I'm assuming because this film, they think, let's bring Sydney back. Let's focus on Tatum. Hopefully you'll give Tatum a lot more to do in this film. This will be a way for y'all to fatten up her character a bit because I do feel like she kind of played second fiddle to her mother, even though, yeah, technically this was like them trying to build her up, I guess, past the torch, but it didn't feel passy torchy to me. So I feel like if you're going to make Tatum the focal center of the next one, you definitely need to make her a lot more interesting and give her a lot more to do than just, oh, my mom, she was doing, and then all that other little crap that they put up in there. Because I do feel like she was underutilized and underwritten in the last movie. Also, if we're going to focus on both, what I was hoping to get in Scream 7, but we didn't get, I thought that the movie was going to focus on Sydney, like we were going to have side quests, kind of like Fast and the Furious. And I'm explaining what I mean by that. So in the last Fast and Furious, which was a god awful fucking movie, you had all these different characters off on different quests throughout the movie. So you had Tyrese and all of them going off doing one thing. Then you had Dom Toretto and his son off on one situation. Then you had Letty over there with Charlize Theron and then Gal Gadot. She was popped in. And so you had all of them off on these little side quests. I feel like if you're going to do the next Scream movie, you have Sydney. If you're going to bring Sydney and Tatum in there, you have Sydney and her friends off doing their thing. They're probably being coming after, like Ghostface is coming after them, and you have that thing develop them. You don't really need to actually. You don't really need to develop Sydney or Gail because who was also underused in that last movie, because they're already fully fleshed. They're fully realized. So you can just focus and have them doing whatever it is that they're going to do, the Scooby-Doo-isms, the mystery, all that stuff, but also have their circle of friends that they're interacting with, and maybe Ghostface could be trying to take them out. Then you have Tatum starting over with her new group of friends, develop those characters, develop her friends or whatever, give us a reason to root for these people so when they actually get off by Ghost Face or the many ghost faces, who knows how many y'all want to put in the movie, then we care about these people. I honestly did not care about any of the characters that were offed in this last Scream movie. It just felt like it was the reason to just kill people off, and then y'all just heavily focus on Sydney and this whole thing about AI and Stu, and it wasn't well executed in my opinion. So with these women coming in, hopefully, they'll write a really good script, they'll flesh out the characters, you'll give everybody something to do, and you'll actually help us give a damn about the characters that are going to be shown on the screen. So with that being said, I'll just be waiting to see what transpires of this, and hopefully they come out with a good script. I don't know if these women have experience in writing horror and kills and things. I don't know what they say. I mean, yeah, they were writing Buffy, but that script, people were tearing it apart. But we don't even know what draft of that script that we read was that the script, the ones that leaked online, was that the version of the script that was going to become the pilot, or was that was the first draft? Was it a redraft, rewriting of the draft? So who knows, but we'll see how it all goes. And then if they need somebody to punch up the kills, even though y'all did him dirty, maybe you can hit up Christopher Landon and have him like do a whole little gloss over of the script, and he can add a little something something. Now, the question also remains, will Kevin Williamson be coming back as director? I know he said he doesn't want to come back. He has other projects that he wants to focus on. But um, if I just say back up the Brinks truck. I know there were people that had like complaints about his directing and all the other stuff. I didn't mind the director. I did think in certain parts it was a bit dark, and there were certain parts where it was a little it was a little was some editing situations that I was like, oh girl. But nevertheless, um, if he doesn't want to come back, I don't even know who would be interesting to bring it. Maybe the guy that directed. I was like, I really want Christopher Landon to come back, but I just feel like he's been so burned by this damn fan base, he won't do it. And Strange Darlings, the director of that, I would like to see him direct a Scream movie. I don't know if he'd be down for. I'm trying to remember if he's actually direct. I think he's filming something else. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I may have heard something, but I would like the guy of Strange Darlings to. Oh wait, I think he's. Isn't he doing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot or something or another? I think that's what he's working on. But if he got some time, let's see if he could possibly direct a Scream movie. We need some fresh meat. We need some new blood. We need some new ideas. I'm just glad Radio Silence has moved on. I'm just glad God Busick is taking his grubby ass hands off of a Scream movie because I hated every Scream movie that he's written. And I just feel like he's not a good writer. I just feel like I've been disappointed with a lot of the writing. I was disappointed with a lot of the Scream movies, and I was most recently disappointed with Ready or Not 2, which he had a hand in writing as well. So I say all this to say, because I know I got a lot of questions, and I'm sure you do as well. What do you guys think of this story? Are you excited to hear about a Scream 8? What would you like to see them do to make this franchise better? Because, yes, just because it grows $200 million at the box office does not a great movie make. There's been a lot of movies that made a crap ton of money, but the movies were shit. So, um, it'd be interesting. I just hope that Spyglass is actually listening to the fans and is really concerned about wanting to get a good script, or because the fans have been complaining and they just haven't been excited over the writing and everything, and the direction, the political stuff. But it seemed like, look, the political stuff didn't even affect the movie because it made the most money out of all the movies in the franchise. So like I said, Matrix versus Real World when it comes to all that Palestine and all the other mess that all these people's out here protesting about. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. He said people want them to remove Sydney, and that sadly includes Tatum Evans, because just being Sydney's daughter is pushing Sydney. They even want Gail gone and the twins, because without the core four, well, they're trying to why the twins are there. Some fans hate that it's females writing it, but as a gay Scream fan, why are people so like annoying when it comes to, oh, I'm mad because a woman? Who gives a fuck? Can we just get a well written Scream movie? I don't care who writes it. I don't care if somebody writes it, scoop shit out their ass and writes the whole script and poop. As long as the script is written well, who cares? Like, y'all so damn oh, the woman. Oh my God. Like, shut the fuck up. First of all, none of y'all can write nothing. So who cares? As long as it's a good written script, I don't care who writes it. Because I'm like, first of all, these people are idiots. Because if you ever paid attention to slasher films, it's always been about the final girl. Women have always been like the strong focal point of the genre. So if people are going to get mad over women writing a script about a female centered character who's always deemed the final girl in a horror movie, then shut up, because you're not a fan of the genre, especially if you don't understand the genre as what it is. So that just kills me that people think like that. These scenes need to be Three scenes need to be in a film. A conversation between Ben and Tatum alluded they had sex, and Ben was telling Tatum to be honest with Sydney. She hates us because you're hiding me. A conversation between Jessica and Sydney after Hannah died. It alluded to us that Jessica shouldn't be trusted. And a scene where the twins wake up to realize Ghostface was very gentle to them. Yeah, because it's like they got stabbed in the bar, and then we ain't see them to the end of the movie. So I'm like, what? Who's making these decisions with the scene that they cut out? And y'all thought this was a good idea to remove? Like, we need context in order for things to work. So I do agree with that. It's like, Oh, they realized like, well, damn, if they really wanted to kill us, they could have did it, but they didn't. And yeah, there should have been a couple of more scenes with Tatum and her boyfriend. You said, and Chad saying, "I'm not drinking beer ever again." Mindy saying, "The way Creepy Boy died and his love interest tells me it was very personal." Then that we know is Jessica that killed the tavern scene. I need to remind people that Spyglass hurt the franchise to the point that I would do a Brinks truck. When it comes to Nev, she has leverage that she can ask for more than 7 million now. Yes, she can. But look, as long as they keep these movies moderately successful, because look, the budget on the last one was, I mean, moderately budgeted. I would say it's successful. Um, $45 million was the budget for Scream 7. Movie made $200 million. So if they do want to bring her back, yeah, she could ask for more. She could probably go, I want 10 million. And the most she can ask for 10 to 12 million and a producer credit, which is more valid than an executive producer. I don't know why she didn't choose a producer credit. If Spyglass listened to the fans, they would get Melissa and Tara back now. Okay. Because they're not coming back. But I know somebody who is coming back, and that's the Broadway once she gets better. Let's talk about Megan Thee Stallion. So some tea came out that Megan Thee Stallion had to cancel a couple of dates performing in Moulin Rouge on Broadway. Moulin Rouge the musical on Broadway. So yeah, she got sick, and she basically will be back on Thursday. So if you're looking to see Miss Megan today, what's today? Wednesday? Yeah. If y'all looking to see her at any of the shows that's playing there, because I believe it's two shows. I think it was a matinee and there's an evening show. So yeah, because I think they do that on Wednesdays. They don't do it all the time. You know, they always do usually evening shows, and I think on Wednesday and then the weekends they do like matinees and the late show. But anyway, so she is expected to come back on Broadway tomorrow, so she need a couple of days because, according to reports, they said she's been diagnosed with extreme exhaustion, dehydration, vasoconstriction, and low metabolic levels after being rushed to the hospital in New York last night during a performance of Broadway's Moulin Rouge, the musical. Now, in a new statement on Instagram, the performer writes, and I do have her full statement, so let me pull that up. She said, last night was a real wake up call for me. I've been pushing myself past my limits lately, running on empty, and my body finally said, enough. It honestly scared me. I thought it was gonna. I thought I really. Yeah, I thought I was gonna faint on stage. I really tried to push through my performance, but I just couldn't. Hotties, I want to be real with y'all because you mean everything to me, and I hate letting y'all down. I just need one day to rest, reset, and take care of myself the way I should have been. I'll be back on that stage Thursday, stronger, clearer, and ready to give you 100% the way you deserve. Thank you for always riding with me and loving me through everything. Well, look, let me tell you, Broadway is getting hot right now, and I feel like I got to get a couple of tickets. One, I want to see her on Broadway in Moulin Rouge. I'm hearing she's pretty good in what she's doing. I also want to see The Lost Boys, the musical, because I've been hearing great things about that, and I know the tickets have been selling like hotcakes with that one. And the recently opened Rocky Horror with Michaela J. Rodriguez and Luke Evans, which, child, I've seen them clips online, and the bulge is bulging in the jockstrap that he wearing on stage. I can see why he got that Spanish boyfriend. So, definitely want to see that because it looks like that. I mean, even though Broadway has always kind of been queer, it feels like it's getting really gay up in the Broadway space, which is why I was saying in the beginning that yeah, we need more drag based perform like Broadway type stuff, Broadway, off Broadway, whatever the case is. We definitely need a lot more interesting shows because Broadway looks like it's a hot commodity right now, and it seems like there's a lot of really interesting shows I want to catch up on. So I need to figure out how I can fit all that in my schedule before it all dissipates. So in a statement to press, her rep said that the rapper performer who is making her Broadway debut in the production has been treated and released from the hospital and is now resting. They said Megan is incredibly grateful and the prayers and well wishes from her supporters and is looking forward to resuming her role as Zidler in on Moulin Rouge on Thursday. The statement continues. Now, So yeah, she did, as I said, that she's not going to perform in yesterday and well in the matinee and the evening show. And so, of course, we have some of her fans who have chimed in. Wait, that's not the one I wanted to go to. It was this one? Our magazine said sending you love. Another person said we adore you and want you to be healthy and happy. Speedy recovery coach. Another person said we love you, girl. Another person said love you, girl. Another person said please take care of yourself. I was scared shitless, stomach in my ass hearing the news. Don't overexert yourself. Rest, stay hydrated, and rest assured in knowing you are that girl. Self care comes first. Everything else comes second. I'm always so proud of you, but health is your main priority. We're so appreciative of all the hard work and dedication you put into this and your craft, well, us and your craft, but stay kind of yourself. And that's why I said that a lot of times I know that a lot of these artists, the ones that really love their craft and what they do, they focus so much on trying to please everybody else. And I want to do a good job and I want to push myself and all this other stuff. And it's great that you want to show that you working your behind off, but Broadway is grueling. It's very physically demanding, and you should know this because you're a touring artist. You perform on stage for 2 hours doing a lot of your hits and all that other stuff. But at the same time, you definitely have to find a way to take care of yourself because Broadway is no joke. The physical demand that it takes to do a show is not on Broadway is not the same as doing a concert where you can balance certain things out. You really have to take care of yourself. So I'm really hoping this is a lesson learned that yes, pace yourself, don't overexert yourself, really take care of your physical and your mental being because bro, this is something that a lot of the rap girls out here at this point are really doing it. We got Cardi B selling out arenas all over the United States because I don't think she's going overseas. And now we got Megan on Broadway. Nikki's in her house, punching the air, being mad at everybody else for having a career, and she's busy being a psycho MAGA bitch. And then, and Bia, out here mad at Cardi because she has the career she's always wanted. So there's that. So I say, well, it's the same. What do you guys think of this story regarding Megan? Get well, girl, and then come back stronger, in the words of Brittany, stronger than yesterday. So, whatever your thoughts are on this story, let me know in the comments down below. They're into the villain, but Scream is also about the final girl. Mhm. Some people were joking around saying she got tuberculosis. If you seen Moulin Rouge, you would know what that. Well, I saw the one with what the hell's her name? Nicole Kidman. Isn't it kind of based on that version? I don't know why they blaming her. To be honest, I don't think she should have been picked. There is a lot of people who are born to do this. Yeah, but you have to realize the way Broadway is. Um, it's about name recognition. You got to get names and butts and seats. I wish in the perfect world that Broadway is about. Okay, we can get some big Broadway star like a BB Newworth or a Patty Lupone or somebody of that caliber, and have them be I mean, and I think Patty and them could still open or Audra McDonald. Like I wish it was kind of or Adele Dazeem. I can't call it Idina Menzel anymore ever since John Travolta. So I wish it was all about like the big or Bernadette Peters, like the big Broadway superstars that it was to be about them or whoever the next generation is. That girl that Hugh Jackman currently hunching, Sutton Foster, or any of those, or Megan Hilty. It's funny how I'm just knowing all the Broadway. I wish it was that easy where we could just bring those and make that, or Leah Michelle, who's about to leave Chess and be. I don't know if y'all heard about that. She's about to leave Chess and then be replaced by JoJo. Yeah, leave Get Out JoJo, the one who actually was re-recording her vocals before Taylor Swift came in and colonized her idea and decided to mainstream it. So I wish it was that we could focus on those, but now it's all about gimmicks, buttons and seats. We got to use big names to draw attention. I would say like, oh, I would use Luke Evans as an example, but I can't because Luke Evans was doing Broadway before people even Broadway, the West End. He was doing that before um he became like a big movie actor or movie star. People recognize who he was. So yeah, because he did Taboo with the Club Kid Lee Bowery Broadway show that Boy George put together. He was in that before people even knew who he was. That was like 20 some odd years ago. Nikki used be a workhorse until she now you gonna say what you should have said was Nikki used to be a workhorse until she met Petty, and now she's shaped like a horse or built like one. You said I love Meg, and this news shocked me up for a sec. I mean, shook me up for a second. I'm glad she's okay. She's my favorite new generation female rapper. Mhm. Speaking of Moulin Rouge, remember JoJo was in that. I think that was like when she broke. I think that was her Broadway debut when she did. And that was in like 2024, 2023. It might have been. Ooh, excuse me. Y'all ain't hear that burp. That's why I don't like drinking, acidy stuff because I always get the gas. But it's better to come out of this end than the other. Anyway, let's move on. Child, let's get messy. And let's talk about MAGA Barbie, whose husband apparently wants to be one of the dolls. So we got Kristi Noem out here getting all that shit injected in her face so that way she could look like a doll, a Barbie doll, whatever the case is. The only difference is she got to get the rest of the work done, meaning the big titties and all that other stuff. So now her husband had to go online to your local pleasure chest and get the big chesticles so he could live out his Jimbo fantasy. So anyway, I know y'all probably know all the details and everything that came out regarding the whole situation. Daily Mail did an expose behind a paywall. I wasn't paying for it, but I'm glad all the other blogs and everything else, I was able to get around it and read the article and all this other stuff. But yeah, they was trying to do a whole paywall where they exposed her husband as having this secret life of bimbofication, which was something I never even knew existed or heard of. But there's a fetish for everybody out here out in these streets. And I'm not judging, but because as y'all know, I am sex positive. I've always been a sex positive person. The problem I have, and the one I want to talk about, and the one thing I always will expose is a damn hypocrite. And that's what we about to do with this situation because y'all can't be the party of family values and the party of conservatism and put up this whole facade and image and build your whole political career around conservatism and family values and discriminate against anybody that don't fit in the confines of the white picket fence and all the other stuff. But then you up in here allegedly cheating on your husband. We don't get into that story. And now your husband out here walking around with fake titties trying to live out his drag race fantasy, thinking he me a star with the big old breastplate. So let's get into it. So former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, as we like to call her MAGA Barbie, has responded to revelations that her husband Byron Noem frequently engaged in online bimbofication fetish content. Now, in a statement to the New York Post, reps for Kristi Noem said Miss Noem is that wait, why is she MS Noem? First of all, it should be MRS, because if you married, you're Mrs. Noem. But I guess you misnown when you out here spreading your bony ass legs for another man. That ain't your husband. They said Miss Noem is devastated. The family was blindsided by this and they asked for privacy and prayers at the time. First of all, I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm like, you knew. Y'all all know what's going on in y'all families and this, that, and the other. Just like I'm sure he is aware of your affair that's been going on for a long time. Y'all been married for over 30 some more years. You don't be married to somebody for that long and don't know the tea on what y'all be doing. Plus, I'm sure she was probably noticing a lot of Amazon packages coming up in the house with these big old titties. And if y'all think these pictures is fake, they're not AI. These are actual photos that was exposed on social media. I know it's hard for a lot of people to believe that this might be April Fool's, fake, or what fake news, whatever the case is. First of all, I find it quite hilarious that this story dropped yesterday when it was the Trans Day of Visibility. So Y'all be out here hating on the trans, and now he out here cross-dressing. And that's when y'all decide to drop the T. So shout out to y'all, messy Daily Mail. So now they said on Tuesday, the Daily Mail reported that Byron Noem, who has been married to the recently demoted Department of Homeland Security Secretary, damn y'all old, since 1992, has been a frequent participant in online fetish chat rooms and spent and sent over $25,000 on digital payments to the women he was chatting with. They said digital payments. Does that mean coins? And you saying fetish chat rooms. Was you on Chatterbait, sir? Now, if y'all don't know what Chatterbait is, Google is your friend. That's all I'm gonna say. I told you, there's a fetish out there for everybody. So, sir, you be on Chatterbait basically wearing breastplates and beating your meat, and giving people tokens. Is this what we doing out here in these streets? Yeah, I'm exposing it all. Now, what else is that? Oh, they said the Daily Mail obtained a trove containing thousands of text messages as well as photos of Mr. Noem role playing, many of them produced while Noem was serving as President Donald Trump's in his cabinet. Bimbofication is a role playing kink centered around exaggerated hypersexual femininity in order to embody stereotypical bimbo: big boobs, big butts, full lips, and no intellect. Well, basically, that's basically married. Now, as author and podcaster Tina Horn writes of bimbofication in her book, "Why Are People Into That?" question mark. Sometimes you don't want to be a fully integrated self. Wait. It says sometimes you don't want to be a fully integrated self during sex. Bimbofication offers a clear delineation between child. I'm sitting there gagging over what they talking about. Let me get serious here. Bimbofication offers a clear delineation between the moaning, the coming, uninhibited sex object you dream of being, and the mild-mannered alter ego you have to be the rest of the time. So they're basically saying that you have dreams of being this. Now, no shade. I gave a gander at Miss Noem's husband. Miss Holmes, Miss Noem, your husband Byron got full on gay face. Now, I don't know if y'all know what that is, but there's certain people when you look at them in the face like, you're a faggot. I definitely give that. He definitely gives that vibe. There's another one too. What's his name? The one that go by the initials BJ, the conservative. He definitely got gay face too. So, I truly believe that I believe every single word of this. Now it kind of makes me wonder: is he low key trans? Like, does he have is he trans attracted? Like, or does he have fantasies of he wants to be trans, but doesn't have the cojones to be his true authentic self? These are things that I'm worried about, especially with the explanation where they said bimbofication offers a clear delineation between the moaning, the coming, uninhibited sex object you dream of being, and the mild mannered alter ego you have to be the rest of the time. So he has to put on this facade of like, I'm the alpha male and the white picket fence, and I gotta provide for the wife and all this other stuff. And you've been married to her since the 90s. And you know when the 90s was not too kind to people, especially if you were part of the Levitical plus community. We had the AIDS Holocaust. We had a lot of discrimination going on against gay, queer people. So a lot of times, a lot of men who have those tendencies, whether or not you're same sex attracted or you have feelings of you don't feel like you in the right body, but because you're a white male, and you have all this, hierarchy, patriarchy, whatever you want to call it, that you have to live up to certain things. Where it's like, by this age, you have to graduate. By this age, you have to get this type of job. By this age, you have to get married. By this age, you have to have the children. By this age, you got to have the white picket fence and the 2 cars and the dog. Oh, we should mention dogs when it comes to the gnomes. But when it comes down to the situation, it's like you have to live up to this certain all-American white picket fence facade that a lot of society has perpetuated and bestowed upon people. And so I've always said that every projection is a confession. When you go after other people because they're out here willing to live their best life and do all the things that they want to do, you're mad at the LGBTQIA plus community because they're out here able to live their life freely and live how they want to live, or they want to let their freak flag fly. And a lot of you don't have the balls to do it. And I'm like, if you want to go in the confines of your own home and do whatever kind of kinky shit that you want to do, that's on you. I just don't like a hypocrite. And so that's what we're doing here. We're exposing hypocrites. So let me get back into the tea. So then he said, you might not want to literally look and act like a dumb blonde in bed, but the dumb blonde can be a marvelous symbol of something many of us want to be. Someone whose simple existence is dedicated only to being admired and enjoying herself. The mayor released a series of photos following Mr. Noem with large inflated balloons under his shirt, with the ties positioned on up outwards as if to suggest nipples. You turned me into a girl, Mr. Noem said in one exchange with a model. He asked about her breast implants. The report became the subject of widespread online mockery. The official account for the Democratic Party joked that it was cute. They both like to dress up, referencing Noem's habit of wearing almost costume-ish get-ups for many of her public appearances. Wow, well, I feel badly for the family. If that's the case, that's too bad, President Donald Trump told the Daily Mail in a child, please. I know well, he's gonna tiptoe around the situation because he got his own situations he got to be dealing with, his own little weird fetishes and the things. If you know about what was in them Epstein files, we already know how that man leaned. So now Trump ousted Noem from her position as Homeland Security Secretary early this month amid a torrent of controversy. The firing came shortly after Noem appeared before Congress, where she was grilled about her lavish spending on DHS marketing campaigns centered around her own public image. Noem was also questioned, and this was what gagged me because I remember I was seeing these clips resurfacing recently, and her husband was right behind her when they were grilling her about her alleged affair with former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski. Now, in an apparent attempt to demonstrate the strength of her marriage, Noem pointed out that her husband had accompanied her to the Capitol and was seated just behind her. Ma'am, you really think we dumb? Like we don't know what optics look like or perception? And the fact that, yeah, your husband could be there and y'all could be putting on a united front, but behind closed doors, the situation is different. So we're not gonna sit up in here and try to pretend like oh, because your husband was there that, oh no, it's nothing to see here, look over there. Like, come on now, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. And that's what a lot of these people that work in these departments do. So look, as I said before, I want to preface this by saying that in no way, shape, or form am I judging someone for having a personal kink. As y'all, if you've been following me for a while now, whether recently, even if you haven't, I'm gonna just say this: I am someone who is pro sex. I am a sex positive person because it's like I got my own kinks and stuff that I like to, and I have disclosed them on social media and possibly in here too. And it's like ain't no shame in my game. But my issue is the hypocrisy regarding people like Kristi, who has carved out an entire political career as a religious conservative crusader against the Libidinous community and immigrants. Now, this is a woman who wrote a book gloating over pow-powing her dog for attacking her neighbor's chicken and biting her, and then gloating that she took one of her goats and shot. No, she wasn't feeling her goat. She pow-powed her goat. And this is also the same woman who lied about meeting with Macron and pretended to stare down Kim Jong-un as if she's some damn alpha female. She also, I just find it funny that she got all that silicone injected in her face to look like an overblown Barbie doll and forgot to get the tits to match since she's shaped like a prepubescent boy. So he had to resort to buying triple F size titties online because physically his wife wasn't living up to the private fantasies in the bedroom. So while she's out here allegedly spreading her bony ass legs for Corey Lewandowski, her husband is busy online ordering jumbo-sized breastplates from the pleasure chest while pleasuring himself online with hookers. I just wish, at the end of the day, these so-called family values conservatives who make it a mission to tell sex positive people how to live their lives would worry less about what others are doing in their own bedrooms and would just come to terms with who you really are as human beings. But because you are filled with so much shame and guilt, you feel it's easier to judge others who have the cojones to show up as their authentic selves. So now, does this mean that Byron might be closeted and wants to become Brianna? Who knows? And if people think that men who are married to women, don't have trans tendencies, I got two words for y'all: Caitlyn Jenner. So, no, Kristi, you don't get thoughts, prayers, and privacy because your husband's secret kink was exposed. I'm going to give you the same amount of grace that you've given the immigrants, the queers, and people of color. So, with all that being said, I feel like I said all I need to say in this situation, but I want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this messy story regarding these hypocrites up in this regime who likes to sit and point fingers at everybody else on what they doing? But I always say that one finger you pointing at the people, the other four, you're pointing at yourself. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. You said some people are saying T-Boz should sue Chilli for ruining her bag. She already refers to her as her bandmate, not as I think she been her bandmate. You said let's just say Cam's like, oh, because you don't want me to expose that site I mentioned. Yuri over here cackling. He look a damn mess. The dog is confused. Look, there was a method to the madness of the pictures that I was using. I love how the dog is peeping through the door looking like it's saying, what in the Sam hell are you doing? I know, right? And you said, speaking of MAGA, Trump is caving to Iran and a few things for one big reason why. Midterms, Dems won the DHS funding, nothing going to ICE because of how, well, look, and then we got to have people out here reminding people because don't get short term memory because all of a sudden DHS workers is getting paid. Well, not DHS workers. Oh my god, the people that work at the airport because they're finally getting their money after weeks of not getting paid, and the whole all this other stuff. He's still an asshole who just fucking up the country. Don't give in to the foolishness. He said, and he's losing the birthright case. Oh yeah, I heard about that. He attended the case and then left early to intimidate his justices, and he learned that he was going to lose another case. So yeah, he's left very unhappy in his face, like a child not what getting his way. Oh yeah, that's another queen. Todd Chrisley is another that definitely has the game. First of all, and he sounds like a queen. Him and Lindsey Graham, who's over in Disney World getting her life, probably in It's a Small World or on the teacup, riding that teacup. With me, the first teacup he's probably ridden. When I found out he was married to a woman, I was like, does his wife know her? Apparently not. Anyway, um, so yeah, I was like, ooh, I was like, when the Republicans get caught up in a hypocritical situation, I was this is like the gift that keeps on giving. Yeah, definitely lopsided because if it was implants, they'd be straight. But well, it depends on the doctor, right? Here right now. Now speaking of T-Boz, let's talk about T-Boz. So, y'all already know the other day we already went in and let have on Chilli dumbass. So we don't need to give her no more straight. Well, she might get a couple of strays. Who knows what the hell's going to come out of my mouth as I have this conversation with y'all? But yeah, so Chilli, I mean, so T-Boz has been letting it be known that she distancing herself from all the. I just wish this damn Instagram videos would stop freaking refreshing. It's so annoying. But um T-Boz is letting it be known that she has been distancing herself for a while from some of the things that um Chilli has been out here saying. And I do have audio. So we're gonna get to that in a second. But first, let's get to the story. If I was like, let me find the picture. Here she is. Okay, so Rosanna Chili Thomas, as y'all know, is one third of 90s R&B girl group TLC wasn't quite able to make the headway she may have hoped for when she released a video apologizing for her perceived support of MAGA. So T-Boz, as y'all know, has made it be known quite a few times over the years that she don't align with a lot of Donald Trump's policies, as her bandmate Chilli faces backlash tied to past political donations, according to a source close to the singer. Now, close friends of T-Boz are making it clear that she has always let her views be known, pointing to her long history of speaking out on issues that Trump has spoken against, including sexual health, HIV, the LGBTQ community, or Black Lives Matter. And remember, all the girls was doing is very sex positive back in the crazy sexy cool days. Or remember even the first album, Ooh on the TLC tip, you had them wearing condoms on their clothes and things of that nature. And then of course with Crazy Sexy Cool, they were very much pro sex and safe sex and the whole situation. And then of course we just had recently T-Boz did the prep commercial, which Chilli did not participate in because word on the street was she's not for prep and all this other stuff. But people need to realize PrEP is for everybody. It's not just a gay man's HIV is not a gay man's disease. Everybody can get it. Women, children, men, whether you gay, whether you're straight, everybody can get it. HIV don't discriminate like cancer. It doesn't. So people need to become educated on this. And that's why even though she gets on my root canal nerve and she can be problematic in a lot of stuff she said, shout out to Tamar Braxton for making it more of a mainstream thing for women to get on PrEP and want to take care of themselves. Whether she meant it in a shady way to throw a little dagger at whoever she was throwing a dagger at and was trying to do it in a judgmental way, the fact that she brought it to people's attention, I applaud her on that. And I love the fact that T-Boz, or I like to call about the government, Tion, was out here um being a positive person in regards of this and has always been consistent in regards of her support of safe sex and HIV awareness and that sort of thing. Because remember, they were out here doing that in their music before it was even a cool thing to do. And especially in like R&B, what black people you knew was out here being pro, condoms and sex and all that other stuff. I mean, yeah, you also had Salt and Pepper, which we're gonna get which, they already got problematic situations within their selves because they supposed to be going on this tour with TLC and in Vogue, which we're gonna talk about in Vogue as well. This whole tour is gonna be a mess. But so yeah, so now they said close friends of T-Boz is making it clear that she has always let her views be known. And they said, oh yeah, and I also forgot to mention Black Lives Matter. So they also said T-Boz has been an advocate for the unheard voice, emphasizing that her public stance on social and political issues have been consistent over the years. And remember, the other day I told y'all she follows Byron Donalds, another tap dancing coon for the Republican Party. And she liked a comment because I got the screenshot, but it's on my website where it said real America's voice. It's funny how they always going around talking about how they the real America's voice. It's like you can't speak for every goddamn body. Shut the fuck up. So they went and said he said in big old caps, because apparently they all think they Kanye with all these goddamn cat writing. Said, I'll be damned if you tell one of my sons he gonna be a girl. And this is what Byron did. I hope all your kids come out to be faggots or trans, because y'all be running around here worrying about who gay and who this and who that, when probably you getting pegged. Because remember, every time something goes on with the RNC or Republicans and stuff in general, Grindr be blowing up. And I saw that Gavin Newsom flaky ass was running around here trying to make jokes about Grindr. I'm like, who's still using Grindr? Grindr be trying to charge people $500 a month to use that tired ass app. So I don't even care about Grindr. I done deleted that from my life eons ago because Grindr is tired. There's so many other ways. Child, let me tell you, I get offers of sex more from people in my DMs in Instagram and Facebook. It's like, fuck a Grinder. I get hit on more from there and other places than Grinder. Grinder is just, it's fraudulent. That's what it is. And if y'all be wanting to run around here spending all that damn money on some foolishness, be my guest. Now, so yeah, he went and said that and she liked it, which goes to say that she has been making comments about she's been very much anti-trans and all other stuff. Remember, she also went and said that liked the post, or I think was it liked or reposted, probably both, of a conspiracy theory regarding the fact that Michelle Obama is a man. Now y'all already know, like, bitch, you supposed to be black, last I checked. And you out here spreading misinformation about a black woman being trans when you know there's this thing within the black community about women, black women specifically, who have a lot of masculine features, and because of the way the gene pool is in regards to Black women, and men want to sit up in here, or people want to come over here and say y'all are trans, the Michelle Obama, because you're tall or you have a muscular build, or whatever the case is. Like, it could be Michelle Obama, it could be Venus and Serena Williams, any of the Omarosa, Wendy Williams, like, it could be any of those type of girls where they get that because they have features that make them that kind of get, or just hilarious. Like, when they have people, when y'all kind of have like this masculine energy to you, then all of a sudden y'all want to sit and say that they're transgender. Now you got this old, I don't know what identity race wise I am, bitch, getting on social media and saying stuff like this, and then doing a whole all lives matter. I'm like, bitch, are you Black? Like, last time I checked, who are you? You like, and this is why I said, this is what bothers me too, is the fact that you have this broad who your entire income comes from making music, or Black people buying your music, and then you pulling that stunt? Because white people aren't the ones that's going to a TLC show. It's people over 40, men and women and the gays, going to a TLC concert. Not white people from fucking Kansas. Those are not the ones up in here singing "What About Your Friends," bitch. So you need to learn what side of the aisle your bread is buttered. I don't give a fuck you spreading your legs for white dick. You need to realize who you are and who your audience is. And now you done fucked up the bag because you a dumbass bitch. And I blame Pebbles, because quiet as it's kept, nobody wanted your ass in the group. Pebbles put your ass in the group. But then you pulled the Faith, and I'm talking about Faith from, so what's it, Soul Food? Yeah, Soul Food. Faith fucked my husband. Yeah, she went and fucked Pebbles' husband. Now who the silly hoe? Chilli. According to the legendary T that spelled out about that years ago. So we all know that if Left Eye was alive today, she probably beat her ass. Because Left Eye did not like Chilli. I don't even think T-Boz liked that. I think T-Boz tolerated her. Because, like, well, we part of the group. We here to get this bag. And I feel like once Left Eye died, y'all, TLC died, because Left Eye was a focal point of the group. And it's great that y'all can still try to go on and do the thing together. But Tion got way more bigger fish to fry. She got to worry about keeping her body from having those sickle cell flare ups, and less about Chilli out here being a hot ass, tired ass mess. And remember, they were one of the best selling girl groups of all time because they had songs like No Scrubs and Waterfalls. And they're known for addressing social issues in their music and public appearances. So they've taken a political stance in a lot of those things. But we don't need to recap the whole thing about Chilli and MAGA. But I do want to play all this video where Left Eye, Jesus. T-Boz exposed Chilli in an old resurfaced clip where she basically, because Chilli was running out, oh, I don't know, I accidentally, the buttons be put together, and I was like, now don't get me wrong, there was a time when I was on Instagram and they did kind of change it up, and I was like, fuck is this? I'm like, where's the button to like share or repost? And I'm playing around with the things and trying to figure out what the new buttons are on the phone. So that's what I was doing. But usually you ain't gonna see no MAGA stuff on my phone. Like, if you ever follow me and you follow my Instagram and you see the stories, there's always some stuff about, anti-Israel, pro-Palestine stuff, exposing Israel for a lot of the propaganda and stuff they've been doing. Like, a lot of the political stuff is on the right side of politics, not all this propaganda mess that's going on. So y'all know where I lean politically if you follow me on the social medias and things, on all the progressive stuff that I've been posting about, how New York is, and Zoran and all the things he's been doing and getting things done in New York, with like filling up the potholes and going after these slumlords and all that other stuff that's going on with that. So when I be saying stuff, I'm on the right side of history. You got to be following a bunch of damn right wing nutbags to be able to accidentally repost something about Michelle Obama and stuff about MAGA based stuff. Once you follow one thing and like it and repost, you're gonna get a barrage. You're gonna get flooded with a lot of that type of stuff. That's the way algorithms work. So, sis, The internet don't lie. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's AI and people can make up all kinds of shit. But sis, this was going on before AI became like this big thing that it is now. So you can't sit up in here and blame stuff. Just admit who you voted for, own it, and move on. Now you out here being exposed. And then I heard somebody else say, why we go harder on the women than we do men? Well, it depends on who you're talking to. Because I don't just go hard on women, I go hard on everybody. I'm an equal opportunity reader, offender. Go, get him, get that bitch. Like, that's how I, when it comes to the stuff. I don't just be like, oh, I'm harder on women than that. I hate when y'all do that because y'all always want to play like the victim. Women want equality. And then when we come at y'all over some shit, when y'all get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, then all of a sudden, oh, you're going at the women, or you're going at the black women. Oh, now you want to play the fucking victim. No, you can't have it both ways. You want to be equal to men, you're going to be treated but on the same level. You can't just sit up in here all of a sudden, like play that card because you're not getting your way or because you got caught out there. So anyway, we got the clip here. Let's play the clip of what Tion had to say, and then we're gonna come back and talk. Please hold.
Yeah. You guys are about to nominate the biggest jackass in the history of politics. Straight up. Period.
You're really gonna win.
This is an all hip hop exclusive.
My group member voted for him.
Well, here's my thing is
This is an
I've been telling you guys.
Did y'all hear that? She said, well, my group member voted for him. And you know what irritated me about that whole video? She threw that in there and y'all just talked over it like y'all didn't even hear it. Or maybe you didn't hear it because, a lot of times when you were doing these radio shows, whatever, I think people be so focused on trying to get what they got to say out that y'all not listening to what other people say and following up. I said, well, wait, what? I would have been like, wait, what? Like getting my Shea Kool-Aid back. What? Like, what you say? And like, what I said, my group member voted for him. And that was the last term. This man been president for about a year and a half already. Second term, year and a half, because a lot of y'all still act like this is first term, like he ain't been president before. And I hate the fact that our media don't remind people that, like, y'all act like this is first time at the rodeo. This is second term. So, bitch, you've been exposed, and it is what it is. Now, I do wonder what's going to happen with this tour, because I say at this point, throw the whole goddamn tour away, because you got Chilli out here exposed, and the people aren't feeling her right now, especially with the way this current regime is treating a lot of people, and a lot of Black women have been heavily affected in the workforce under this administration. Then you have dumbass Salt, her psychotic, uber religious nut job of an ass, jumping in the conversation defending Chilli when she should have just minded the goddamn business that paid her, kept the head down, and just start rehearsing, getting ready to get out there and start singing "What a Man" and shoot. And wow, 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 wow. That's what and pushing it real good. That's what you should have been focusing on instead of jumping in a conversation that had nothing to do with you. So now there is a bullseye on your big back ass, which is gonna hurt. Well, I don't know if Spinderella has been asked to come back, because I ain't like. That was another thing. I ain't like the way y'all treated Spinderella either. And now we got In Vogue with they mess. We got that story coming up after this one. I'm gonna break it down because it's getting messy between them. At this point, throw this whole goddamn tour away. That's what I feel about it. Throw the tour away. Go take y'all money. Well, I don't know if them tickets is non-refundable, but use them tickets for something else. Who out here touring? That's women of a certain age. Maybe go see Pussycat Dolls. You got Little Kim and Maya about to open that. That's women of a certain age. Demi Lovato, there's a certain demographic. Well, that's not Black women. I really listen to Demi like that, even though she got them Black girl pipes. Who else about the tour? Ariana Grande. But I don't know women of a certain age like Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande is for the younger girls and the millennials and things. I don't think the over 40 crowd is out here feeling her like. Can't think of who out. Oh, Screaming for Hudson about to go on tour with Josh Groban. That show's coming to the Garden. I mean, maybe y'all take that money and put it somewhere else, because this tour, even though it would have been a great idea on paper till all this political stuff came out, it ain't gonna happen. So I say all this, or I just think it's been tainted because of the drama that has surfaced as of late. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what T-Boz basically said? I'm dissing myself from all this mess. Like, I've always told you, I've been anti-Trump from the beginning. And I'm just going to let my bandmate flounder out here by her damn self because she made the bed. Now her little skinny ass need to lie in it. To the point that Matthew Lawrence had to cancel a convention date. They said, due to personal matter. I said, the personal matter being your girlfriend out here being a dodo and being exposed. And I would be surprised if he voted for that man as well, because birds of a feather, as I like to say. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Chilli pretending to be light skinned was always a rep. I was like, bitch, you need a good. I don't know what funhouse mirror she looking in, but she ain't my complexion. You a brown skinned girl with good hair, with that Indian hair. That's basically what you are. Which I think her father is half Indian. I think that's the father. She found out that she found what show did she go on where she found out her father was her father? Was it Sally Jesse? Because I remember an episode, was it Donahue? I can't remember what the talk show was, but I remember when she went on a talk show and that's what she found out who her father was and they met for the first time, and all that other stuff. But Tehran's in the building. And I remember that, but I don't remember which talk show it was. I call myself an equal opportunity cusser outer. Exactly. That is me. And I am her. She is me and I am her. And you said, don't forget they're blaming Matthew Lawrence on how Matthew Lawrence is now canceling appearance. Oh, yeah, I didn't even read that, but yeah, I remember. But I didn't read because I don't read the comments till after the fact. The way I'm looking at the screen, I don't know how y'all see it, but the writing is so tiny that the only time I see the what you guys have written is when I click over to the comments and then I go through them. And then when the trolls come up in here, I'll just be blocking. He said the way they have so successfully conquered and dismantled Black America. Hello. Wouldn't be the first time. Remember Tulsa? He said, off topic, did you see the Miss Taylor Swift release a fan edit as an official music video? Literal screen grabs of Elizabeth Taylor. Like, I have not. I didn't even know about that until you just told me. All right, y'all. So now let's go from TLC to En Vogue because the girls out here is fighting. So I don't know if y'all heard the recent story. I forget who it was, Black Love or one of y'all told me that y'all sent me something in the Instagram comments or in the messenger and all the stuff regarding this story. So I decided, okay, let me do some research, let me look it up. And so Rona Bennett apparently is no longer part of the group. Rona Bennett went on and said some things. We're gonna break it on down. Dawn Robinson jumped in the conversation. It's getting messy out here, and I'm living for the shade. So let's get into it. So En Vogue is gearing up to tour with Salt and Pepper and TLC for their iconic tour, and it's kicking up old and new dirt. Original En Vogue members Cindy Herron, Terry Ellis, and Maxine Jones, who recently joined the group. Child, and look, when I get and later on in the article, Dawn exposed some mess regarding Maxine. Was like, why would you even come back? And I'm gonna break it on down because she put it in there. She spilled it. Who recently rejoined the group, performed in November at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, leaving out on longtime member Rona Bennett, who subsequently departed the group. And they said she's been with the group for over 20 years, which I didn't even know was that long. Now, adding insult to injury, we hear the group didn't reach out to Bennett before or after the high-profile diss. Despite being a part of the group for over 2 decades, a source familiar with the situation described the ladies' relationship with Bennett as more business than a sisterhood, saying they were amicable, but it was really they'd show up to work, then go home or to their respective places. Well, that sounds like me at work. I clock in, I do the job, I kiki with everybody, and when I clock out, I don't know you bitches. That's literally me at work. In later years, they communicated through counsel, we're told. Now, sources paint a picture of En Vogue as Ellis and Herron versus whomever they let in. Now, former original En Vogue member, I wanted to say En Voguer. Well, we'll go with that. Original En Voguer, Dawn Robinson, has now stepped into the fray, coming to Bennett's defense, saying she can relate to being snubbed by the group. She said they are bullies and they say who and cannot stay. This is what Robinson said in the video she posted to her YouTube channel on Monday. She said they discard people like hand wipes. En Vogue can't keep a member to save their lives. Bennett has also been online defending herself. Now, current members recently sat down with People magazine with Ellis, claiming that it was Bennett's choice to step away, saying she could be here. She chose not to be. Now, Ellis also claimed they learned of her leaving the group from social media. Next thing we know, we hear on social media that she left. She's gone. This is what Ellis said. Now, Bennett took to her keyboard to address inaccuracies about how she left the group, suggesting their lawyers walked away from contract negotiation, saying this statement is misleading and does not represent what actually occurred. She said on social media, my lawyer received a formal notice from the lawyer that from their lawyer that the contract they were offering had been withdrawn on November 11th. Bennett also said she was not informed of the RHO. I was gonna say Real Housewives. What was it? Real Housewives of France? That a new franchise I ain't know about, but it's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I was like, RHOF, what the fuck is that? Anyway, but she was not informed of RHOF performance in advance. She said the suggestion that I declined participation due to a prior engagement is not accurate. I guess there was some issues going on with the contract, whatever. She wasn't happy with it, and they decided, well, if you're not going to comply with all of us and be in lockstep, then we're going to part ways. And you're just going, and we're going to make it seem like you decided to part ways with the group, which is the furthest from the truth. So I'm definitely agreeing with Dawn on this, that, yeah, y'all discard people like hand wipes. But it's funny because Terry, Cindy, and Maxine, all they know is En Vogue. What else they out here doing? I mean, there's only been so many ways you can sing Hold On. Now, my departure was not the result of a disagreement for over a specific performance. For several months, our legal teams were engaged in contract negotiations. Ultimately, the terms presented were not aligned with my values or a level of mutual respect in the relationship. So you saying that it was a business situation. Maybe you saw it as something different. But it's like, yeah, if I've been in a group for over 2 decades as the replacement because all the mother broads left, why are you treating me this way? And because I'm not agreeing with the contract you're putting in front of me, you're basically saying that I don't have a dog in the fight. So you're just going to discard me like how Dawn described, like a damn hand wipe. Speaking of Dawn, she also called out Jones for returning to the group this past November. She says she obviously loves abuse. Now, Robinson then recalled when the group sued Jones for unauthorized use of the name En Vogue in 2012, saying, I remember years ago when Maxine was sued by Cindy and Terry, she said she would never work with those skanks again. Those were her words. So now it's funny to see how she has come back yet again to work with those skanks. Now, the insider basically said they want nothing more than the ladies to come together and have a public healing moment. But something tells us they're never going to get it, 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 never going to get it. Y'all ain't gonna get that shit. So at this point, child, yeah, it just seemed like a lot of nastiness, a lot of treacherous, unspeakable behavior in this group. And y'all just messy. That's why I said at this point, like when I was just talking about the last segment with TLC, throw this whole damn toy away. Y'all are a mess. But my thing is this, yeah, if I was out here trying to use the En Vogue name and you sued me and I was caught up in litigation, why the hell would you go back to the same group where them bitches wouldn't spit on your ass if you was on fire? Y'all are weird. So is it that y'all that desperate for coins that you just go and be back with the same group of women that took you to court? Mm-mm. Yes, all the hard feelings. That's about it. And look, y'all wondering why Nicole Scherzinger got the group that she got with the Pussycat Dolls. It's like, no, I got to protect my peace. So, I'm not inviting toxic ass people back in the group for whatever reason, because that's what y'all want. And there's no shade. I'm just saying, I got to protect my peace at the end of the day. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding En Vogue being messy and all that good stuff? So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Lanier says, what gets me is how when their political affiliations become exposed, they make up lies to claim otherwise. If you have to lie about it, they should have took it as a sign not to make such affiliations. And y'all know that the one thing about the internet is it doesn't lie. It keeps receipts, even if you delete it. Somebody done screen grabbed it, and they're gonna come up in here and they're gonna remind y'all. And you know the sleuths be sleuthing. That's the one thing I'll give about the internet. When y'all use it the right way, I'll be here for it. Cause y'all be digging up old stuff and y'all will post it online. I ain't even hear that whole clip about T-Boz going around exposing Chilli. Said, "Oh yeah, my bandmate voted for him." I ain't know about that until it started resurfacing and it ended up on a lot of the mainstream blogs that I follow. And that's why I was like, in case y'all didn't hear it, I had to bring it here. All right, now speaking of receipts, let's get into this story. So let's talk about Brandy. So Brandy's new memoir, Phases, is out. And she's spilling a lot of tea. So shout out to her. But one of the things, we're going to get into all of it. So this might be a long one. But the one that's going to be the lengthiest, I think, is the story regarding her and Wanye's relationship. So we're going to get into that, and then we're going to break down all the other juicy details from the book. Because, funny enough, she's finally confirming something that I think we've all pretty much speculated for decades. Who didn't know that she and Wanye were fucking? The only thing I didn't know was that she was 16 and he was 23, and she basically lost her virginity to a little nasty ass. And the funny thing is, I do have the clips of some of the stuff that he said. Actually, what I should do is I should play the clips, and then we're going to break down all the details of what she said regarding Miss Wanda, because that's what I'm going to start calling her. He go Wanda. That's your name, Miss Wanda. So we got the clip. We're going to play it. Actually, there's two clips. There's one where he was on the Breakfast Club. And then there was another clip where he was on Instagram. I think he was doing an Instagram live. And then he was trying to justify the relationship in regards of, all the details. But Brandy laid it on down. And now you out here looking like a big old liar. So we're going to play that clip. This is back when Angela Yee was on the show. And here's what they had to say on the clip. We're going to come back and talk. Please hold.
And you had a celebrity relationship. Were you the only one that was ever involved with a celebrity?
Who was he dating?
Wanye was banging Brandy.
Brandy.
He left you lonely, brokenhearted.
No, I didn't actually leave a
He was teaching Reggie how to do videos.
You taught Reggie how to do the segment.
That's why they called you Squirt.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, Brandy even said in her behind the music that you broke her heart because you fell in love with somebody else.
I mean, you only fall in love with somebody. You only fall out of love with somebody else if somebody makes you fall out of love.
Mm-hmm.
So if that was the situation, if that's what she said, then
that's political. I like that.
I can't contest to her view about it. I can just only live by my view.
Revolt.
Mm-hmm.
Revolt.
They were saying she was really young when y'all dated.
Yeah, she was. Not that young. Not
God,
not
jail baby.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, that's why. But that's why I stopped it. But hold on. But that's why I stopped it and said that she wasn't that young, because I don't want y'all to think Boys to Men was young.
She said
I was young too.
She said she was 15 and she had to keep it a secret because she was so young.
See, we did the thing. We did the thing when she was like 16, 17, around that time.
You was so you were still a boy too.
I wasn't old. I wasn't
men
like
yet.
38 years old, nothing like that. I was old enough to. She was old enough to get it.
Yeah, you were 23 and she was 16. So that's about 7-8 years older than her. Which some people look at that now, especially the Gen Z era, like, sir, you are old enough and grown enough to know what you were doing, getting with a young girl who was pretty much naive and inexperienced, where you probably had a way more experience because you're a lot older and a couple of years older.
Okay.
But was it legal in the state y'all was in?
I mean, we was always in different states. We was on tour.
They had a nomad relationship.
You know what I'm saying? We just, we didn't do it in the states that it was legal. It was illegal in.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Political.
No. It was, you know what I mean? It was a time. It was a relationship. It grew and it ungrew. I guess you could say that.
Squirted and it unsquirted.
Squirted and unsquirted. I like that.
What I found annoying about this whole situation is why is Soup Coolers, I don't even know his damn name, why the other members of Boys to Men jumping in the conversation? It's like, it's not about y'all. Let Miss Wanda answer his own situation in regard to the situation. Why y'all jumping in? Mind your business. Let him talk. So that was kind of annoying me about the whole thing. Now, the next clip I'm going to show y'all is the one where he got on, I think it was Instagram Live, but it was on, I pulled it from like Twitter via TikTok or whatever, where he basically was talking about his relationship with Brandy and that sort of thing. But because it doesn't pull the whole clip, the stuff that leads to the clip I'm going to show y'all was basically him saying that how he became encountered with Brandy was the fact that at the time, I believe she was on Thea, her mother approached him and kind of saw him because she was a fan of Boys to Men, that sort of thing, probably saw it as like a mentor situation. So he said she was kind of like my little protege. First of all, the way he was wording some of the stuff pissed me off because I was like, "Oh, my little protege." I was like, "What is she, a fucking puppy?" So literally, it was that sort of thing. And then I guess what happened, according to him, they fell in love and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're gonna play what he had to say, and then we're gonna come back and talk. Please hold.
So much. We've been hanging around each other so much that there became to be some sort of connection, an intimate connection. We actually fell in love. Now, we were young. That's what happens. You're young and you fall in love. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you have the ability to be around somebody a lot, you begin to know things about them. You know what I mean? And they know things about you. Now, when you're young, you make decisions based on your youth. You know what I'm saying? You don't make decisions, moral decisions that put you in a whole position where you know that this is what's going to be for the rest of your life. You're learning through everything.
Wanye brought up Brandy's mom, Sonia, again, this time claiming that both she and Brandy's dad were involved in their relationship. In other words, Brandy's parents knew exactly what was going on, yet they didn't step in to protect her. It seemed like Wanye was trying to push some of the responsibility onto them, suggesting they were aware the whole time and allowed it to continue.
Happy. So whoever is there saying, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff like they know, you know what I mean? Regardless of anything, my age, her mother was definitely, you know, a part of our relationship. Her mother and father was a part of our relationship. They allowed me to guide Brandy and to help her through her career. They understood that we had grown close, and that's what it was. You know what I'm saying?
So he's talking about the business aspect, but you're not alluding to the fact, did they know that y'all had a relationship? I'm not talking about a business relationship. Did you have a relationship, meaning that y'all were boyfriend and girlfriend? Because he also mentioned something about taking her to the prom. And so I said, well, wait a minute, wasn't it Kobe Bryant that took her to the prom, or did she take Kobe Bryant to his prom? I'm trying to remember what it was. So at the time, we all thought like, yeah, we knew that there was a thing going on between her and Wanye, but also I noticed that there was like a little dating situation with her and Kobe. But anyway, let's back to what he had to say. Wait, what happened to the clip? It just like closed on me. Hold on, now I gotta find it again. Where's she at? Well, it looks like I lost it. But anyway, y'all pretty much got the gist of what he said. But let's get into what Brandy had to say at this point, because I was like, I don't even know how we lost that article, and I mean that clip, and I didn't even put it in my thing where I can go back and get it. So decades after speculation first began about the singer's romance with the Moesha star, after the Moesha star performed as the opening act for Boyz II Men World Tour in 1995, the Grammy-winning singer-songwriter and actress is opening up about a connection in which she claims she was too young to recognize she was being used in her recently released memoir phases. Although Wanye Morris has long denied rumors that he and Brandy began a relationship when the singer was a teen star, Brandy writes that her relationship with the Boyz II Men member started when she was 16 and he was 22, a year after they met, and Morris became her mentor. The singer writes that Morris began to call and check in on her regularly, offering advice as an anchor and confidant to the up-and-coming star after she joined the group on tour. However, the pair got closer, saying, quote, "What had begun as admiration had transformed into something else," Brandy writes. "It seems to me that he weaponized my admiration, shaped my friendship into dependence, my respect into desire. I felt swept up in a current I couldn't control." End quote. Now, she reveals that her relationship took a turning point after they filmed the music video for their collaboration, Broken Hearted. She described an unspoken energy between the two that had intensified after their work on the video, saying, quote, "We moved around each other like opposing magnets, as if actively trying to maintain distance, even as we kept finding ourselves drawn into each other's orbit," end quote, she writes. The attraction was subtle, yet undeniable. It lived in the pauses between conversations, and it lingered in the charged atmosphere surrounding us, she adds. The relationship quickly formed after that, a whirlwind that Brandy recalls as being overwhelming because of the guilt of hiding it from her family in public. According to him, her parents knew, but she's saying she hid it, and dealing with the illicit nature as a young teen. Say, "My girlfriend is 16. I don't remember when he first said it, but those 4 words started rolling off his tongue whenever we were alone," she writes of Morris. "I couldn't tell if this refrain was meant to soothe his own conscience or temper the questions shimmering in my gaze. Perhaps it was his way of tethering himself to a boundary, even as he quietly edged past it. Or maybe it was simply a reminder to himself, a whisper to keep the illicit nature of our connection in view. Regardless, I was under the impression that we were madly in love, or at least what I believed love to be at 16. A grown man's version of love designed to serve his needs." Now, Brandy details her first time having sex with Morris as having lacked the specialness I had painted in my mind because it wasn't about me at all. What she sees as the usual rites of passage in adolescence were tainted by the influence of a man who seemed to know exactly how to make me question my own beliefs and boundaries. She said, "And I hung in this strange balance. I was navigating that time in full view of the world, every move scrutinized, every choice dissected by people who didn't know my heart," she writes. "Part of me wanted to retain some semblance of normalcy, but also I knew full well that what was happening between me and him was wrong, and yet my attitude was, this was special, this was real. People just can't understand." Now, Brandon describes the sexual element of their relationship as Mars getting what he wanted from someone too young to recognize she was being used. Added that she believed she was too naive to realize that deep down inside, he did not see me as special. "I think he saw me as conquerable, as someone whose boundaries could be negotiated away. I was in over my head. I was young and inexperienced, and thought that following my heart meant following his lead, that what we shared transcended ordinary rules and limitations," she shares, adding that she had wanted to wait until marriage, but also believed that having sex with him would cement our bond, would prove I was mature enough for our relationship, would make him happy. And so I told myself I was ready, that this was my choice. But the truth is, I felt like I had no choice. I felt like saying no meant losing him. The reality of their relationship wasn't lost on the singer, despite her naivete about their ability to last, saying, "He and I understood with diamond cut clarity that public knowledge of our relationship would ignite scandal, potentially threatening everything we both work for. So he and I opted for elaborate fiction. We would pretend patience and claim we were waiting until my 18th birthday before pursuing any romantic connection." Y'all don't remember what it was back in those days. Like, y'all were out here. Brandy was put on such a pedestal in regards of her image. Like, she always had to have kind of like that good girl image, similar to Britney Spears, until we found out her sexcapades and stuff that she put in her memoir. But people were still slut shaming her and all that other stuff. And Brandy had an image to uphold, so she had to put on this whole good girl Disney-fied image in a lot of ways. But behind the scenes, she was moving different. And to have some girl who was very much polished and Disney-fied being caught up in a scandal at 16 with a man who was 23 years old, her career would have been over. So in those days, even though they were pushing sex and pushing all these things, you had to kind of maintain this whole conservative image in order to get by, especially the way this power hungry and just hungry in general media treats celebrities. Now, eventually, Brandy and Morris increasingly said that Morris increasingly became critical of her, comparing her to other hit R&B singers, namely Mariah Carey, his One Sweet Day duet partner. He was also increasingly hard to track down, and she was required to page him prior to calling. Child, he was out here creeping because I'm like, damn, you was really treating her like, you're my little secret. That's how we should keep it. Like, you was literally out here treating her like an escape song, like she was a big old secret. They said he was also, as I said before, he was also increasingly hard to track down, and she was required to page him prior to calling. Their relationship ended when Morris confessed to multiple infidelities. Brandy claimed she caught him with an assistant, saying, quote, the shame ends here. The silence ends here, she adds, of coming to terms with the feeling that she was manipulated into and throughout the relationship. I was not a fast girl with a crush. I was not a dramatic teenager who couldn't handle rejection. I was not an unstable, obsessive fan. I was a child and he was an adult, and it's time the world understood the difference. I was 60 years old dealing with the infidelity of a grown man who I believe had pursued me, took my innocence, and was now revealing he had been faithful, or he had not been faithful. I may have been young, but I was wise enough to know I had been played, and that wasn't love. So kudos to her for telling her story, especially when people like Wanya have been running around on all these different, like on Instagram Live and The Breakfast Club and so many other conglomerates, and getting to tell his side of the story regarding Brandy. And so many men have been able to have this sort of narrative about her. And even Shine was coming on and say, but then on the other hand, like to get to the Shine part, does Brandy have this thing about her where she wants to present a certain narrative about herself in regarding relationships because she's been perceived a certain way for so long? So for her to go, for it to be exposed that she was getting around allegedly by messing with, Wanye, Kobe Bryant, Mace, Shine, so many different people that allegedly she's been hooked up with, and then maybe the baby father, which I got all the big highlights of that coming up in a second. But it's like, on one hand, I applaud her for telling her story, but on the other hand, I know people are going to be looking at her a certain way because they feel like, were you a victim in all this, or was it that you knew what you were getting yourself into? But then again, when you're 16 years old and a girl's frontal lobe hasn't fully developed, a lot of young people think they know what love is, being madly in love with somebody, being in a relationship, when it's like, you're young. These are feelings, you're dealing with, a shift in your hormones and all that other stuff. So you think you know what you're doing, but you really don't. And then you have grown ass men who know better, who they see how naive and young and wet behind the ears you are, and how he did say he took on a mentor role in regards of her and her career. So she's all in love, got these big old glossy rose-colored glasses on, puppy dog eyes, salivating them out, like just agreeing with everything he got. He got her hypnotized or possibly dickmatized. And a lot of these young people, we've all been there when we're young and impressionable, and we think we know every damn thing. We think we grown. And then you realize you've been used and manipulated. Because trust and believe, when I was Brandy age, I was out here running behind grown-ass men old enough to know better. But when you young and you horny and you think you grown, you going to do all the things you shouldn't be out here in these streets doing. And believe me, I was dipping it and doing it before I came to my damn senses. Now, to continue on with the rest of the situation, let's get into, so Wanya, you nasty, you a mess. And I know you were trying to clean up, make yourself look a little more human in this whole situation, or not like what you was doing was wrong and pedophilia, as the Gen Zers will look at it. But I feel like you're probably going to get a lot of smoke now that Brandy released his book. Now, speaking of the book, let's get into the rest of the tea, because we got a lot more bombshell that came out regarding the situation. So let's get into some of the highlights, because she talks about, she basically said this. My life has not been perfect, but I've been able to navigate and heal and do things that I've loved to do in my life. This is what she told Variety ahead of the release of the memoir. She said, I went through a lot, but I'm here and want to be an example of resilience to tell my stories. So yeah, she talks about from her, her earlier days finding her range in church, much like her idol, the late Whitney Houston, to performing at the Grammys. The singer and actress born Brandy Norwood unpacks her inspiring career, including the inevitable frustrations and disappointments since she first broke out as a teen star on Moesha. Now, along the way, she navigated a tricky dynamic with her brother Ray J and felt the ultimate joy when she welcomed her now 23-year-old daughter, Sarah. And then she talks about the mournation of people who were important figures in her life, such as Aaliyah and Whitney Houston, and even talked about the 2006 car crash that left another driver unalived. So let's get into the biggest revelations from the book. So one of the things they talk about is how she felt about Moesha getting canceled in 2001. They said she had mixed feelings when her UPN sitcom Moesha was canceled in 2001 after 6 seasons. She wrote in her memoir Phases that she was gutted to lose her on-set family, but at the same time I was free because, as the now 47-year-old noted in the book, by season 5 she hated the character she was playing, the way she always had the right answer, the way she judged everyone. Oh yeah, everybody used to get mad at her, like she was so judgmental and used to always be a know-it-all. But if you look back on the show now, you would hate Moesha, but back then we was living for the show, and she was a busybody. She said, I didn't recognize myself in her anymore. Looking at her on the page was like staring into a funhouse mirror. Still, Moesha fans were heartbroken. They deserved a proper goodbye, closure. We all did. But here's the thing about unfinished stories. They live forever in possibility. I tried not to dwell on what could have happened or what we should have done differently. But of course, I've imagined where Moesha might have gone next. By now knowing her, she was probably running her own media empire. Well, Lord, don't give them no ideas to want to possibly do like a sequel, requel, whatever you want to call it, like similar to Malcolm in the Middle or Buffy or any of these other shows that y'all trying to come out and do a sequel to. Now she also set the record straight about her feud with Monica, because y'all know they went on the Boys Mind tour and all that other stuff. But there's always been talks over the years that these two didn't like each other. Now, despite the feud narrative that preceded their collaboration, solidarity isn't a story the industry wants to sell. Brandy wrote that she immediately thought of Monica to join forces with On the Boy Is Mine, their smash hit 1998 duet. They had an incredible time creating together, she wrote. In turn, Brandy was crushed when Monica recut her vocal with producer Dallas Austin, but she also understood. Then, without warning, Arista Records head child, this queen, Clive Davis, announced Monica's album would be called The Boy Is Mine, which to Brandy felt like a calculated move to claim ownership of the song, the very thing the lyrics protested against. The now dueling album releases poured kerosene on the flames of our supposed feud, Brandy wrote. I blame Monica before I knew the full story. Neither of us truly wielded much power in those days. That's always been the case when it comes to like groups or girl groups or female artists. There's always the labels that like to create this rivalry where they want to pit girls against each other, and us as fans, we eat it up. We gotta choose a side. We team Brandy, team Monica, or whatever. But it's the labels, particularly messy ass Clive, who like to start these messes and stuff. Oh, I'm gonna call the album "The Boy Is Mine." You can't call an album after a song that I presented to your artist to help to co-record on. How you gonna call it that your album? Just these labels being messy. Not realizing that, yes, when you're someone who's tied to a major label, you really don't have control over or say so in the decisions, unless you get to a point where you sold 500. I'm gonna just throw a number: $500 million records. 500 million records worldwide, and they know that you making this label so much money, and you know your cachet and where you stand, that it's like you got the leverage. So then you're gonna come out and say, no, this is what I want, and you can't use this, and this. Then it gets to that point. So now they also said when they were invited to perform in the Tonight Show, Monica had a scheduling conflict and Brandy sang both parts. The optics were problematic at best, she admitted. By the time they performed at the 1998 MTV VMAs, the non-existent rivalry had boiled over into genuine tension, driving a wedge between us that would take years to remove. Now, Monica said on CBS Mornings that she and Brandy reunited for the Boy Is Mine tour. It started as nothing, and it really did turn into something. But she noted, I was 18, she was 17 when we did the record. People forget that you're having this conversation about children, basically. And you also got to think, it's like, with all that stuff going on, nobody's communicating with each other. It's going to become a bigger thing. And I feel like, in a way, if you really think about it, the Boy Is Mine tour was them to basically take back the narrative that the label had created between these two girls, in regards of trying to create this fake rivalry because they want to sell records. And because Brandy is the biggest star in R&B, you need to have a rival. They do it with the rap girls too. So then they also got into why she lied about being married to her daughter's father. Now, when Brandy got pregnant with her and music producer Robert Big Bert Smith's daughter, Sarah, in 2001, Robert suggested that they tell people they were married, if asked. She said, I understood it. The good girl narrative had been stitched into my, didn't I mention that earlier? Had been stitched into my public persona, demanded a specific sequence, marriage first, then motherhood, when Brandy got pregnant. At the time, telling that one little white lie seemed so harmless. Later, when the romantic love between us began to fade, after Sarah was born in June of 2002, Brandy truly believed we could transition back into friendship without scars. Instead, Robert went on, Wendy Williams, how you doing? And said we had fabricated our marriage to protect my pristine image. More, even though he the one that told her to go along with that, with the lie. Now, moreover, Brandy recalled he said I had been the other woman, that he had reconnected with his girlfriend who was now carrying his child, and most devastating of all, that the entire charade had been orchestrated by my mother. Robert now shares 5 kids with wife. How do you say? Well, I'm the way I'm looking at it, I think she's Mexican because it's I think her name is pronounced Shotil. Which is similar to that young girl that was in. Damn, what was she play? I think she played. I can't remember her name, but she was on Dancing with the Stars, and she also was in one of the superhero. What was it? I think it was. Oh my God, that is escaping me. The superhero film with Doctor Strange, the last one, the Multiverse of Madness, the little Spanish girl that had a little LGBT button. So anyway, her name was I think it's Shotil Jacques Smith. So they said the betrayal cut deep, she wrote, and the professional consequence from lying were swift and merciless. Brandy thought that she was protecting her child, and she remains the greatest gift I've ever known, but she was paid incalculable costs for the single decision, saying the judgment I felt from found me anyway, raising questions that haunt me still. How much of the backlash stemmed from my pregnancy outside marriage, and how much from the deception itself? Now, she also talked about her relationship with Aaliyah, saying that Brandy called Aaliyah a genuine source of inspiration, writing that her fellow artist, who was just 1 month older, not only embraced me, but actively championed my success. So when the Try Again singer was killed in a plane crash in August of 2001, her death cut to the bone. She wasn't just a peer and a friend, she was a kindred spirit. After navigating the same rocky waters of fame as teenagers, we had just really started coming into ourselves as women. Yeah, and I still remember like it was yesterday when Aaliyah passed. So, and that one still hurts because she was like one of my favorite singers back in those days. And that's why I understand like when Brandy did Aphrodisiac, that was like I feel like in a way her homage to Aaliyah in so many ways. Which I think she mentions her in that song Sadiddy. So, and that was a good record. That was kind of like her Madonna Hard Candy record. Whereas like it was the production pretty much overshadowed everything else with the record, the substance, the lyrics, and all that stuff. Now, Brandy also started to believe she was a reckless, and let's get into the car stuff, the car accident. In December 2006, Brandy was involved in a 4-vehicle crash in a Los Angeles freeway in which a 8-year-old woman was unalived. A year later, the LA City Attorney's Office opted to not charge Brandy with vehicular manslaughter, citing insufficient evidence to convict beyond a reasonable doubt. Meanwhile, Brandy barely left her house for months, finding it easier to hide than to face the world. When the deceased woman's family filed a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit against her, Brandy wrote, "I understood the need for someone to blame. They needed resolution, compensation, some symbol of justice in a situation that offered none. Now, eventually," she continued, "claims were settled. No charges were filed against me. But by then, the guilt had already calcified into my soul, hardening into something permanent and unmovable. The stage, usually her refuge, became a torture chamber. The applause felt brittle, insincere. Sleep became the only true escape." So here's what she wrote. Now, she said that when the existence is defined by how the world sees you, your own thoughts, your very sense of self becomes clouded by the opinions of strangers. And I began to believe I was the awful, reckless monster the internet and thus the world believed me to be. Brandy cited then 4-year-old Sarah for giving her the will to keep going, explaining, "I would rise again for her, always for her." The grief never left, Brandy reflected, but it softened, it made room. I stopped asking it to go away. Now, so we got 2 more, and then we finally, because this is a lot they breaking down. There's a lot in this book. Now she reveals, here's what she revealed in her final conversation with Whitney Houston. Now, Brandy saw Whitney the day before the singer passed away in February of 2012, as the Cinderella co-stars were supposed to perform together at Clive Davis's annual pre-Grammys party. Whitney gave her a note at the time, the contents of which Brandy chooses to keep private, explaining, "I want to keep some small piece of our bond untouched by the world." But they also spoke that night on the phone for 3 precious hours, Brandy wrote, revealing that she confessed the crushing pressure that was suffocating my career, the paralyzing fear that I would never recapture the magic of my earlier success, that I was becoming a relic. Whitney scattered baby and sweetie throughout her sentences, like musical notes, as she returned every topic, no matter how dark, back to faith. Brandy continued. And then the 48-year-old spoke of getting back into the studio, of the redemption waiting just around the corner with Sparkle, the long-delayed remake of the 1976 film she put on the back burner after we lost Aaliyah, whom she handpicked for the lead role. The next night at Clive's gala, which turned into a tribute to Whitney, Brandy wrote, "Monica and I clung to each other throughout the nightmarish evening, our shared grief forging a bond stronger than any hit record ever could. We made a tear-soaked promise to keep Whitney's memory alive, to honor her legacy through our own voices, and never let the world forget that what real talent coupled with real pain looked like." Now, last but certainly not least, let's get into her relationship with Ray J, where she said that she basically had guilt over the fact that Ray J wasn't as successful as she was. Now, Brandy and Ray J have always been each other's compass, she wrote, pointing true north to the world spins chaotic, and we still are. As far as she's concerned, her 45-year-old brother, born William Ray Norwood Jr., didn't get the flowers he deserved. So there's a particular kind of heartache that comes from watching someone you love be overlooked, Brandy wrote, referring to the lackluster sales of Ray J's 1997 debut, Everything You Want. It cuts deeper than your own disappointments, burns hotter than your own failures. She continued, "I began to wonder if my success had inadvertently cast a shadow over him, if Brandy's brother had become both his introduction and his limitation. But according to Brandy, this does not cause a rivalry between them, saying Ray and I never subscribed to that narrative," she wrote. "We'd hear stories about famous siblings tearing each other apart, like Hillary and Haley Duff, over record releases and film opportunities, and we shake our heads in disbelief. That darkness never found purchase between us. We still love, we're still each other's best friend. We still are each other's biggest fan. We are still Ray J and Brandy, R&B, finding our way through this complicated world together." Now, Ray J, who shared in January that he was recovering from a near-fatal heart issue, said on July 2025 episode of the Drop the Low podcast, never heard of that one, that he loves his sister, but claimed he was an embarrassment to her and their parents due to his public persona. And he was like, "I got to do me, you know." But here's the thing with Brandy, I understand she probably has I'll call it survivor's guilt in that way because she was the more successful member of the Norwood family, and he basically is Ray J. But Ray J chose the side that he wanted to be on. He became more infamous than famous. And yes, he could sing. I don't feel like he really applied himself to the music. Because I'm sitting there like, yeah, you weren't out here selling like your peers like a Chris Brown or a Tyrese or a Tank and all of them, because you was doing R&B and stuff. You had 2 good songs, One Wish and Wait a Minute. We know those songs, we live for them. But you decided to choose mess and infamy as a way to stand out versus your sister doing more of the demure and mindful type of situation. You could have, I kind of wish that Brandy and Ray J would have taken more of a Beyonce Solange type situation, where it's like, what did they do in order for Solange to not feel that, okay, Beyonce became the bigger artist and all that other thing? From what we remember, we talked about it on here, we were talking about Mama Tina's gumbo, sending everybody to the damn hospital, that when it transpired with that was, or not with that, I think I just kind of felt my brain said throw that straight. But no, that was around when we were talking about the whole Jules thing, and Jules trying to basically have an identity crisis because he can't figure out who he is. And so now, because your mother and your aunt got the talent and you just you trying to figure out how you can navigate through the stuff, and you still haven't figured that out. Now you out here looking like Boo Boo the Fool that's going through an identity crisis. You don't know what you like sexually. You don't know if you might be a closet homosexual or whatever the case is. But then that's neither here nor there. I think what it was that they said that Tina put Solange in therapy so that way she could figure out a way to navigate through her bit more famous sister, and maybe there was some envy or something there. I think maybe that's what it should have happened as well, is that Ray J should have been in therapy and trying to figure out how I can navigate through, who am I? What is my identity outside of me being Brandy's little brother? Because Ray J is talented, but now he running around here doing his Zeus type stuff with Tronics and got his little different businesses, which is good with that. But then you out here getting in situations with the mother of your children and pulling stunts and shows with blood coming out your eyes and doing all this crazy stuff for attention. And then because you became famous off the sex tape with Kim Kardashian. So it'd be nice if Ray J could have carved out his own thing, and he literally figured out a way to carve out himself, and it's the mess that he's doing now. But like he said, I got to do me. But I also feel like, Brandy, you shouldn't feel guilty because your career is what it is, and your brother's career is what it is. He's got to be, at the end of the day, he grown. Y'all are both in your 40s. He's got to take responsibility for his own stuff and figure out who he is as an individual, as an artist. And yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, I know it was a lot, but it was a lot to break down regardless of the book. Now, I will say this, even though I told y'all a lot of the juicy details, I'm sure there's way more up in there. Definitely get your hands on a book if you're a Brandy fan. It's a good thing to have. Speaking of which, I got to sit and order me the book, because I was like, I kept forgetting. I kept meaning to get the book, and I kept forgetting about it. Now that it's out, I'll go and order the book and take the time to read it, because I love a good memoir. I don't like a biopic, but I love a good memoir. So the last memoir I think I got was the Britney one. So I definitely want to get Brandy because I'm a fan. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of all the tea that I just spilled regarding what's in the Brandy memoir, as well as Wanye messy ass out here and Brandy exposing him for the liar that he is, because he tried to make himself come out looking victorious in this situation. She's like, I'm tired of y'all trying to be able to have a narrative on my life, and you out here doing the misogynistic stuff and making me out here like I'm the messy one. I was out here messing with someone who was in a relationship and all this other stuff. It's like, no, y'all was out here being dogs, and because of the times, we were very much in those days, very much like the girl's a slut and the guy comes out victorious. We've seen what they did in regards to how they treated Britney, and how Justin came out looking victorious in a lot of stuff when he was out here cheating and being a low down dirty dog because you want to be cool and you want to hang with the big boys and all that other stuff. And now it seems like the same thing with Wanye and all of them. Y'all putting all the stuff on Brandy, but when you go and take responsibility as a man for what you contributed to the relationship, being 20 some odd years old, hooking up with a 16-year-old, knowing full on well, if you're aware of the shame and vitriol that came with that in the personal situation, then publicly you knew what you was getting yourself into. So it takes two to tango, and you just as much to blame as she is. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. If you read the book, do you have the book? What are your overall thoughts on the book? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Well, I got to scroll on up because it's a lot of comments. Wanted to read the People article about it, but I had a feeling you would cover it. And did. He said, I woke up early just to watch her on GMA because I was so excited. I think she was also on The View. I got to watch that episode. I was so excited and left not wanting, he said, and left not wanting to read the book. What I don't like about excerpts is all the tea is spilled. Yeah, that's another thing that I've been noticing too. Is like with us bloggers and people going on the shows and stuff, and you start revealing so much stuff. It's like, is there a point of owning the book? I think people just want to have the book just for the sake of having it. If you're a fan of the artist, you want to be able to have the book in your presence. And so I think that's usually why it is, because that's why I got the Britney book. Even though I knew all the juicy details, I bought the book because I just want to say that I had the book. So I think that's the way I look at it. And then you want to read it in your own words instead of reading the excerpts, because I'm sure it's way more details instead of just me giving you the cliff notes. I was going to watch Brandy on The View as well, but got carried away with the book I was reading and forgot about it. It's not like I missed much. She's been repeating herself. Well, that's because that's how a lot of these linear TV type shows are. It's the same questions asked to all these different places, and you're literally spending time repeating yourself. That's why it's always interesting when they go on like these podcasts or whatever, because then they can go a little deeper. But when you only have a segment where they're going to interview you for 5 minutes, that's basically all you're getting. It's like, well, damn, I want more. But our advertisers are more important than what Brandy got to say, because that's the way a lot of these shows are. I hate how people don't understand that a lot of people dated older people, especially girls. It's gross, but look at what it is. You want to know something? It's funny because Funky Don even mentioned that the other day on his show regarding, who was he talking about? I forgot who it was. I don't think it was Brandy, but it was something else where it was, oh, I know what it was. It was a story about a teacher who apparently, no, it wasn't a teacher, it was a coach. A coach, I think, wound up going to jail. I don't know for how long. I think it might have been 50 years. For hunching one of his athletes, who's a girl, and she took him to court. He wound up going to jail and all this other stuff. And he was saying, like, down in Miami, child, it ain't just in Miami, it was in New York too, that a lot of teenagers were hunching the teachers, the coaches, and the guards. Trust to believe, I was underage having sex with a lot of grown ass men too, and I should have known better. I told you my own story about this big old muscular black man that saw me on the street, said, "Is your name Michael?" And all of a sudden, we wound up going to a hotel on, I forget where, it might have been 42nd Street. Oh no, it was 14th Street, because that's the stroll. Well, the Hunters was back then, and he blew my back out. That was in my bottoming days. I don't live there no more. Now I'm a full-fledged top. But back in the day when when I was trying to figure out what I wanted sexually, that man tore my ass up. And that was me in those days. So it's like, I'm not joking. I don't want to make jokes about it. There's no woe is me. I guess you got to laugh it off or whatever. But yeah, when I was young, I was hot in the behind. I was out here pursuing grown ass men, and trying to get. But of course, at the same time, the men should have known better. And it was about, it was, at the end of the day, it's, you get in those situations where it's about a squirrel trying to get a nut. And so, yeah, back in those days, and I'm sure it's not even back in the days, it's still happening, where a lot of people dated older people or hooked up with older people in those days, especially in the 90s. Trust and believe. I mean, we could talk about it now. I mean, is it right on paper? No, but we was out there dipping it and doing it. We wasn't supposed to be. What do people not get at this point? It's safe to assume most, if not all, child entertainers were sexually exploited by older figures working with them. Absolutely. There's a lot of it going on, boys and girls, especially in those days. Kids don't know no better. They're naive. Parents are trusted their kids be in love with certain people. Like we saw the Nickelodeon thing. So yeah. Do you think if Beyonce dropped Lemonade today, she would accuse Kim of infidelity? No, probably not. That's why it worked the way it worked back then. Especially the household names. They don't even need to say it at this point. Just like most big name rapper. Child, that's another conversation for a whole nother day. Like, it's an unspoken rule. Yeah, a lot of them are in the closet. Is it just me, or was he sounding a bit like R. Kelly with his justification? Definitely, there was a lot of that. It was definitely giving pedophilia tease. So she was dating this man when she met Whitney at the Kids' Choice Award. Pitchfork Classic reviewed Full Moon this Sunday and revealed an excerpt about Darkchild telling Brandy, "Go do what you're gonna do while I go sell 5 million records with Beyonce during Afro." First of all, Darkchild's an asshole. And still big, and still a fat bitch. He said he knew he was wrong because he lied about the ages. Absolutely. When y'all got to lie about your situation, when you can't sit and be out the closet with your relationship, there is a sense of shame around it. I believe Brandy and her family comes from the same Christian background, probably because they're from Mississippi, and the repression likely fueled a need to express, shall we say, one maturing nature to the point of going wild. My thing is this: wasn't her father? What is Brandy a PK? I think her father was a pastor or something or another in Mississippi before they moved, and they wanted, and pursued the dream of Brandy being a singer, an actor, or whatever. Then they moved to Hollywood, that sort of thing. I believe that they were similar to the Braxtons, where they were heavily into the church. And then you heard how fast them daughters were. And as always that case, a lot of times these preachers' kids be sexually repressed. Express yourself, don't repress yourself, in the words of Madonna. So a lot of these people are sexually repressed, and they be the ones running around carrying. Those are the ones you got to watch out for, not the fast ones. You got to watch out for the little sneaky ones, the ones that present themselves as like these good girls or whatever. Look, we were just talking about Kristi, Noem, and her husband. This whole image that y'all try to perpetuate, y'all be the biggest damn freaks. She was asked about a Moesha reboot on GMA. She said she would be open to it as a face reader. I could tell she wasn't so sure about it. Yeah, that's why I said everything don't need a reboot. Everything. Look, I haven't even watched the whole Malcolm in the Middle reboot. This is like some things I just feel like for my generation, leave it alone. Everything don't need a revival. That's what we got the old episodes. I could just go back for nostalgia's sake and just watch the old episodes. That's the good thing about streaming services. All the old shows is on there, like X-Files. They rebooting that, which I'll watch when it come on. But if I want to watch old episodes of the X-Files, I'll just jump on the line, I believe Hulu, and just put it on and watch it. Was the Brandy thing meant to be before Lizzo? Because if you read the schedule of events, Brandy isn't even mentioned. She's not. Well, I may have to put that up in there because I might have made a mistake. Oh, excuse me. And I put in there, that's happened before where I've done a story and I forgot to put the story in there. That happened in the last thing with the Sarah Michelle Gellar thing and Andy Cohen. The first time I heard about Brandy Crash is when T.S. Madison and Jasmine Masters made jokes about it. Looking at her career, that kind of was the nail in the coffin for her good girl image. I thought the good girl image nail in the coffin may have happened when she lied about being married. I think that's when it started. Because remember, she had the reality show. I don't know if you remember that. But yeah, she had a reality show about, around, her being pregnant and having the baby. I think it's because it was at the height of Teen Mom and all the stuff that was on MTV. So we're trying to perpetuate this image that she was, married to the producer and having the kid when it was all, in the words of Carly Red, it was all a lie. Makes me sad how Brandy did manifest her worries into reality and became a relic in time for the 90s and early 2000s. Admittedly, I'm not crazy over any of her music after 2006. Yeah, because Aphrodisiac was good, but then and Human was all right. But I feel like after Aphrodisiac, the music sort of kind of was on a decline for me. I don't feel like Brandy was capturing that spark. Full Moon will always be like my Mount Rushmore of Brandy albums. I'm trying to think. If we were talking about 90s and 2000s, whose albums would be on the Mount Rushmore of like albums we put on? Let me think. I'll put Brandy's Aphrodisiac on there. No, not Aphrodisiac. I'll put Brandy's Full Moon on there. I'll put Aaliyah's 1 in a Million. We need 2 more. I'll put Beyonce's Lemonade. Damn it, I need 1 more. Who else? I wasn't a Monica girl, so I'm not picking one of her albums. But I need one more. If y'all can help me with one more R&B record that we got to put on Mount Rushmore, throw it in the chat. But those are my three. We just need one more. I'll let y'all decide which one. We'll probably alternate the four. Like one will get a week, and then we'll switch it out, put another one in the next week, so they'll have the alternative. But those are my three. Y'all pick the fourth. Is that I'm conflicted on whether I should buy the book. Maybe I'll read it if I find a free PNG. There you go. They said most excerpts. Oh, wait, let's put Pink's debut album, Can't Take Me Home. That's me being messy. No, we don't. We're not gonna put that one. Most excerpts, because Pink don't like. She likes to pay that album dust. But you said most excerpts cover the most salacious parts, but not necessarily the most interesting parts. Absolutely. Because remember, when they was putting out the most salacious stuff about Britney's book, there was way more juice that was in the book when I read it. Same thing with Mariah Carey's memoir. Well, technically, I listened to that memoir. I remember I was listening to that book all the time. I was in the laundromat when I was living in Bushwick. At the time, I was in a laundromat listening to that album while I was doing my laundry. And you said most tiles will become bottoms when nature kills the getting hard and making it difficult to keep her. No, I was first of all. Wait, what? You said most tiles will become. First of all, sir, that is why they have medications that will help with that. Exactly. Yes, she was. I mean, that's when we first found out about that whole exposure regarding R. Kelly being a PDF file and had an affinity for underage girls. The car crash scandal hurt Brandy and her line about being married, but I blame her mother for forcing that black princess role. Not fucking an older black muscle man. Honey, let me tell you, that was a fine ass man too. And you said Rodney MAGA. Here we go. That waistline ain't MAGA. You don't like 211? We haven't heard that album in so long. I gotta remember what it is. Yeah, but it's been a minute since I heard that one. You said it's so good. Yeah, I haven't heard that album in a while. Speaking of which, did I tell you I listened to the new Ray album, bitch? When I tell you that she tore it up on them vocals. I am in love with this record. Let me tell you, shout out to all the women that's releasing new good music. First of all, this week, Slater released a banger. Love that album. Ray's album had me in a chokehold. I'm like, this lady is all the different genres, all the different vocals, and all. It was just giving me my life. So shout out to Ray. I'm living for this new album. She is it. She sings down. And if y'all not on the whole Ray train, y'all need to get on it. And now I'm looking forward to Jessie Ware's album because I need that album in my life too. But I think that comes out this month, if I'm not mistaken. I think, yeah, her album. Are we putting Demita Joe on the list of the Mount Rushmore? Yeah, we'll put Mariah on there. I would have said, do we put Butterfly or do we put The Emancipation of Mimi? Because I do love that album. You said football was 2000s. We doing 90s, 2000s. Yeah, I said 90s, 2000s. I said the 90s, 2000s era. You said my R&B Mount Rushmore, Young, Gifted, and Black, The Velvet Rope. But you know what? Let's put The Velvet Rope on there because I love that record. Nuh-uh, we not putting no damn glitter. Guess which tired ass music critic gave Ray's album 3. You better not say that old slanted-eyed bitch over there that's be a Taylor Swift fan. If you said that he could suck my dick from the back. Because I'm like, sir, you will not be up in here judging vocals when your fave can't even hit any of the notes that Ray just be doing in her warm-up session. So we're not going to do that, if that's what you're talking about. We're not going to talk about the one I just talked about. I wanted to hunch earlier. Not him. He said he bald and wears flannels. No, we're not putting no damn Demita Joe on no Mount Rushmore. No, we can't. We're not picking him. Don't say it was him that said it. What's his name? I forget that boy name. All right, y'all. So now let's get back into the show. All right, y'all. Okay. Let's talk about Lizzo. So apparently Lizzo spilled some tea. She recently did an interview on, I wish this damn thing was freaking refreshing because it's getting on my damn nerves that it keeps doing that. So there's a podcast called Friends Keep Secrets, and I don't know the other two, but I do know that what's his name is a part of it. Benny Blanco, who y'all know is Selena Gomez. So he has a podcast. I'm trying to get the damn thing to play, but it's like, okay, so there it is. Because now I got to get to the clip. Okay, so I got it. So now that I'm done stalling, the singer basically, as in Lizzo, confessed that she was in her 30s before she lost her virginity, honoring a pact she made 2 decades earlier. So I do have that clip of her talking about it because she went on this podcast and basically revealed, she was like, yeah, I saved myself until I got a Grammy. I'd have been like, but sis, what if you would have been like the Nicki Minaj or R&B or whatever type of genre music you doing, and you would have never got the Grammy? You would have been out here like not ever getting dick. I would have had to reconvene because I'm like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. In the words of Aretha on Auntie Riri. So yeah, let's play that clip and we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk. Please hold.
I was a late bloomer.
26?
It's so
28?
I lied about it for a long time.
Well, yeah, was it really?
Can I just tell you the year?
Mm-hmm.
2024.
2025.
2020.
Oh, really?
Isn't that crazy?
Were you like really like building it up? Were you like excited about it?
No, I wasn't even thinking about it. For me, it was like I just promised myself when I was younger that I wouldn't have sex until I won a Grammy.
What?
Oh my God, I love that.
I know.
Are you serious?
I'm so dead ass.
No way.
Do you think you would have stuck to that? No, eventually you would have fucked had you not won the Grammy.
That's good motivation.
That's crazy. You should have said
Did you fuck the night of the Grammys? If you did, that was definitely the best night of your life.
Did you fuck the night of the Grammys?
No.
It was not the night of the Grammys, but it was.
So when
First of all, when you won a Grammy, you should have said, I was never gonna fuck until I won a Grammy. Thank God, who wants to fuck tonight? Like that's.
Did you have to tell everyone that you were having? Like you're like, yeah, I had sex before. Like I used to lie.
I used to lie.
Yeah,
I used to
so
lie.
stressful.
It was so embarrassing.
Freshman year of college,
I feel like a weight off of my chest right now.
There we go.
Listen
Wait, let her tell the story of lying.
Wait, and then I have a first question. When you won the Grammy, were you so excited to win the Grammy, but were you also like, I can't wait to have sex?
No, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Right.
I didn't even know that it was in my cards. I wasn't even really set up for that. I was like,
I really relate to the lying thing. Freshman year of college, they were like, hey, you're gonna fuck this weekend? I'm like, oh yeah, like it's gonna be nonstop.
It was so embarrassing. I was in like a friend group of girls. We were all girling one night and it was just like, wait, Lizzo, are you a virgin? And I remember being like, no. I remember it was so embarrassing. I said, I love the D. I said that. It was so fucking embarrassing.
I love the D. I love the D.
I was like, I love the D, and it held me over for a little while.
Really?
But
You right when you said I love the D, they were like, oh, she's good.
We moved on. I had my first kiss at 21.
What?
I know.
That is late.
And it was.
Wait, you had your first kiss at 21?
You were focused on your career.
I was no, y'all have no idea. So it was religious for me too. Like when we were teenagers at my church, we all made a pact that we wouldn't do anything before marriage. And then I was just so scared. Like nobody wanted to kiss me.
Yeah.
Nobody
First kiss at 21 is crazy. Did you know? Like, were you like?
It was
like,
terrible.
how do you know?
I was actually very upset about it.
Yeah.
Because it was like a New Year's Eve thing, and he like forced it on me.
Yeah.
I was really mad, and I was like, my first kiss is ruined. I was so mad.
My first kiss, I was the last guy of all my friend group to kiss a girl. The girls were huddled up and they were talking. They were like, just kiss Dave. And then I saw her being like, and there was all this chit chat about it. And then eventually after the chit chat, she was like, okay. And then I kissed her, and I remember the feeling of the tongue on the tongue was overwhelming. It was gross.
All right, so I feel like y'all pretty much got the gist. We don't need to get further into that. Otherwise, we'd be here watching the whole damn thing. So now, Lizzo, who's 37, she basically won her first Grammy in 2020. She took home 3 awards that night. Best Pop Solo Performance for Truth Hurts, Best Urban Contemporary Album, Deluxe Version of 'Cause I Love You, And Best Traditional R&B Performance for Jerome. Now, she didn't make good on her promise that night at the Grammys. They said it wasn't long after, but before she marked the milestone rite of passage, she said she lied about it for a long time. I feel a weight off my chest right now. And then it goes on to the whole religious thing, which I pretty much heard. And then they said since 2021, she's dated comedian Mike Wright, who she first met back in 2016 when the pair hosted the MTV music series Wonderland, but there was no sparks at the time. And said, I have a rule where it's like if I'm working with a guy, it's closed. So what's interesting to hear is like, yeah, I was gagging the fact over she said that she was a late bloomer. Like you didn't get your kiss until you were like in your early 20s, and then you didn't have sex until a decade later until you won like a Grammy or whatever. Like that's crazy to me. But I guess in so many ways where maybe I don't want to be shady in that way, but I'm like, do y'all think maybe it was because even though Lizzo is a pretty girl, she may have had that whole ugly duckling thing because she really wasn't comfortable in her skin of who she was and being a big girl, whatever the case was. So she was like, you know what? I'm a singer. I have talent. I'm going to focus heavily on that in, as a way, as a distraction for me not getting caught up in running around with men, having sex, doing all these other things. So I'm just going to pour all of my energy into the music and becoming a star and the career and all that other stuff instead of being a freak like my friends from school. So shout out to you, Lizzo. But yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all regarding all of this. What do you guys think of this story regarding Lizzo revealing that she lost her virginity in her 30s, and it wasn't until she won a Grammy, and her being a late bloomer with her first kiss and all that other good stuff. I'm like, that's crazy to me, Chia. But everybody's different. Not everybody out here laying low and spreading it wide like how we was back in the day. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. It's funny we spent all that time talking about Brandy because there's an actual full. That is funny. Well, it was a lot to break down with Miss Norwood. I have a confession for you. See, I already know the answer. He said, I have a confession. I don't like Lizzo. She comes across so fake and phony. Okay. Well, I'm not a real big Lizzo fan too, but I just thought it was juicy. I like some of her songs. And you said, nah, men be on Lizzo regardless of size. Well, yeah, there are men out here that like big girls. I think it was, and big boys. And so I think it was mostly the religious aspect, and she was being funny about the Grammy part. Yeah, because I was like, child, if you was literally out here hunching, waiting until you won a Grammy to hunch, that's crazy to me. Okay, now let's get back into the show and let's talk about Tiger Woods. So Tiger Woods, as we was talking about the other day, with him flipping the car and all the other stuff, and with the DUI and everything, I was like, oh, I hope he gets the help that he needs. Even though in the back of my mind, I knew it was like, okay, to clean all this up and to avoid going to jail, he was going to run up out here in these streets and pretty much go to rehab and all the other stuff to prevent himself from going to jail. So Tiger Woods pleaded not guilty to misdemeanor charges on Tuesday, March 31st, after a rollover crash in Jupiter Island, Florida last week, according to court documents filed in Martin County Circuit Court and obtained by Rolling Stone. Now, Woods was charged with driving under the influence, property damage, and refusal to submit to a lawful urinalysis test in relation to the incident, which occurred on Friday, March 27th. Attorney Douglas Duncan of West Palm Beach submitted Woods' not guilty plea and demand for a jury trial. The lawyer said Woods also waived his arraignment hearing, which had been set for April 23rd. Duncan did not immediately respond to Rolling Stone's request for comment. He is the same lawyer who represented the golf great following his DUI arrest in 2017. Well, Jesus, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Now, Woods has also announced on social media that he is seeking treatment. I know and understand the seriousness of the situation I find myself in today, Woods wrote in a statement posted on Twitter on Tuesday. I am stepping away for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on my health. This is necessary in order for me to prioritize my well-being and work towards lasting recovery. He continued, I'm committed to taking the time needed to return in a healthier, stronger, and more focused place, both personally and professionally. I appreciate your understanding and support and ask for privacy from my family, loved ones, and myself at this time. Now, it's funny how y'all do mess and then y'all always want privacy. Now, earlier on Tuesday, details emerged in the rollover car crash that Woods' latest DUI arrest, according to an arrest affidavit released by the Martin County Sheriff's Office. Per The Athletic, following the collision, Woods allegedly told police that he had looked down at his phone while changing the radio station in his Range Rover just before crashing into a trailer and being pulled by a Ford F-150. The impact of the collision caused Woods' vehicle to roll over on its driver's side, leaving him pinned in his vehicle before being assisted by the driver of the Ford truck and another bystander. Neither Woods nor the other driver sustained serious injuries. Now, 2 hydrocodone pills were allegedly found in Woods' pants pocket, and he admitted to taking a few when questioned about his usage of prescription medicines. Woods complied with field sobriety exercises, but reportedly needed repeated instruction. Sound like Justin Timberlake. He insisted that he was not under the influence of alcohol, a claim which was backed up by his results, by the results of a breathalyzer test he underwent. So, he's got a painkiller addiction, which I believe that they've been saying that that's been going on for a while with him, that he pretty much has an addiction to painkillers. And I'm assuming that a lot of that is from where, remember that once upon a time, didn't he have like an injury or something or another? I think it was like the last car crash, he had ended up injured, and then I think he required surgery. So probably since then, he's had like a little painkiller addiction. And it's hard when you dealing with those hydrocodone pills or Percocets or whatever the case is. It's hard for people to wane themselves off those drugs. So I'm assuming that's what that is. Hopefully, with him going to rehab, this is just not a way for you to escape going, having to deal with the repercussions. Because, a lot of these celebrities, like y'all like to use rehab as a way to try to slither your way out of dealing with the real consequences of your actions. So I really hope that this is a move in the right direction, that you're actually going to the courts, well, not the courts, to go on rehab and doing what you need to do to get your life better, especially if you don't want to do it for you, whatever the case is. Well, now I won't say this because I feel like you should do it for you before anybody else. So do it for you and make sure you get your life together so that way you could be there for your children, because you have 2 teenage kids who need their father. And whatever else you need, and then just come to terms with the fact, because remember in the last story, we talked about the fact that Tiger Woods has had an issue coming to terms with being 50 years old. 50 years old. Like, he has a problem dealing with the fact that, he is, well, I guess when you're 40s, you're kind of seen as middle aged, even though a lot of people, I said a lot of people, I ain't say him, don't look middle aged because he look old. Them drugs are pretty much, life has hit you hard, sir. So, when you're 50 years old and you still haven't come to the fact that you still trying to be all youthful and everything, and you can be youthful in spirit, but there comes a point where you just got to grow up and not be trying to be out here doing all these irresponsible young people crap when you too old at your big age to be doing the foolishness. So hopefully you're doing what needs to be done to make your life and getting your life together. And I'm rooting for you, even though I don't be liking how you be leaning in certain situations, meaning the whole race thing and how you present yourself as a black man in America, because you be trying to act like your ass ain't black when you had a black daddy. And all of that aside, get better as a human being. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Tiger Woods pleading not guilty after, the whole rollover crash, and them finding the hydrocodone pills on him? You didn't even have it in a damn bottle. You had it in your hand, in your pocket, willy-nilly. So you down there down in Percocets with lint all up in it. So let me know what you guys think. You didn't even have it in a tissue? So whatever your thoughts are on this matter, let me know your overall thoughts in the comments down below. All right, y'all. So now we are finally down to our final 4 topics. So before we get to our final 4 topics, if you please do me a solid and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And be sure to smash the notification bell so that we know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. If you also want to become a member, we have memberships on the channel. Also, if you want to send any super chats, super stickers, whatever the case is, show your support. Definitely, it ain't gonna hurt nobody if you want to do it. But if you don't want to send no money in these times in this crazy ass economy that we currently living under, hit the like and all the other stuff because it definitely helps push the channel out for more people to get their eyes on this small little channel that we have here and this small little messy podcast. Help a brother out. Anyway, now that I'm done begging, let's get back into the rest of the show. And let's talk about Wig and the fact that she's going through it with her. Are they divorced? I don't even know what anymore. I can't keep up with what Kim and Kroy got going on. But anyway, so things are getting ugly, but I guess it wouldn't be Kim and Kroy type of story if things weren't getting ugly between the couple. So let's get into it. So now Kroy talking about he ain't seen the kids in a minute and he fighting for sole custody. Because I don't know what Kim doing with them children. So they said former Real Housewives of Atlanta star Kim Zolciak's contentious divorce battle took a new turn on Monday when her ex, Kroy Biermann, filed a motion in court for sole custody of their 4 minor children. According to the court documents obtained by the Daily Mail, the 40-year-old retired NFL player asked a Georgia state judge to transfer custody to him because Zolciak had allegedly been flouting her parental responsibilities. Biermann accused the 47-year-old reality star with whom he's currently has joint custody of blatant mismanagement of basic parenting responsibilities that would be practically unbelievable to anyone not familiar with the circumstances. Well, look, I need you to get in your Sutton Strack bag and name it. Name them. What's going on? What's she doing that she ain't? What is she not doing that she should be doing? Zolciak blasted the claims in a statement to the Daily Mail with her spokesman saying, "These accusations are completely false and alleged the filing is nothing more than a deliberate attempt by Kroy to defame my character. Also because, quiet as it's kept, regardless of how Kim and her crazy ass spending and the perception of that, she is the breadwinner of the family. She's a big reality star. Well, I'll say she's a reality star. I ain't gonna say she's big because she's not. But her claim to fame is being on reality TV and whatever else she got going on, because I don't know how she's accumulating money at this point. But I believe that she's got a couple of reality shows that she's about to jump on where she's going to accumulate a coin. And he probably thinks that if I get sole custody, then she's got to pay me child support. Very Brittany and Kevin Federline in the situation. Because Kroy ain't working. So he's probably looking at her as, well, I need you to pay me rent or pay me some coins to take care of these 4 children. And who knows if it happens, how much money he'll get out of the situation. So she went on to say, I spent 5 weeks away working on 2 TV shows to support my family and make sure my children are cared for. It's something I would never apologize for. Yeah, she's doing the Squid Game reality show, and then I can't remember off the top of my head. There was another reality competition. Oh yeah, the competition the reality show that she's supposed to be doing with Tamar Braxton and the Chrisleys. I think it's the mother and the daughter, and Savannah and Julie, and a bunch of other reality. So Kenya Moore is supposed to be on there too, and I think it's a reality show that's supposed to be like Ultimate Girls Trip, but it's on Amazon Prime or whatever. So she said, I refuse to be bullied or have lies twisted into a narrative about who I am. I will not stay silent. The truth is on my side and it will come to light no matter how hard anyone tries to bury it. Now, the Daily Mail has also reached out to reps for Biermann to request comment and has yet to hear back. Now, the latest development in Zolciak and Biermann's ugly divorce battle comes after the 2 sat for a mediation session on January 27th to sort out their temporary child custody agreement. The exes share 4 minor children, sons KJ 14, Cash 13, and Kane 12, as well as Kane's twin sister Kaya. So now she a Kardashian where all the kids got K's in their name. Now, Zolciak also has 2 adult daughters from previous relationships, Brielle, who's 29, and Ariana, who's 24, both of whom Biermann later adopted. Now, in his latest filing, Biermann claimed that his ex had been traveling extensively out of the country and had failed to parent their children on their agreed-upon dates from February 26th to March 29th of this year. Well, look, sis, at this point, if he's going to be coming out trying to bring up those specific dates, if you have the proof of saying, you know what, I was filming reality shows. I was literally out here making money to take care of my children because clearly your fat ass, and I'm talking about fat ass because Kroy got a big ass. A big voluptuous ass. You know, them white boys, one thing about white boys and big booties, y'all want to talk about fetish? Now that's a fetish of mine. One of them. But when it comes down to it, why don't I even go there with that? You've been sitting on your behind, and if that's the thing, is like, yeah, I haven't been able to take care of the kids on this time because I've been filming, and if you have proof of that, then he ain't got no case. He alleged that the only exception during the period was when Zolciak exercised her parenting time on the night of March 9th, at which one of their minor children was subject to a dog bite. Now, Biermann additionally alleged that Zolciak had entered into the temporary mediated parenting plan in bad faith, knowing at the time of agreement that she could not, and in fact did not, intend to adhere to the terms of agreement. He also accused her of fraud and deceit for pushing for the temporary agreement, which gave them joint custody. Now, the former athlete alleged that when Zolciak was in the country and parenting on her assigned days, she had allowed their children to miss their scheduled therapy sessions. On top of that, Biermann claimed that his ex had failed to meet with her own therapist for the minimum required number of sessions, and he accused her of lying to the therapist. Now, respondents continued non-compliance with the safety plan directly jeopardizes the safety of the well-being of the minor children and renders the current temporary mediated parenting plan unworking. The contrary. Wait, what? Hold on. Respondents continued uncompliance with the safety plan directly jeopardizes the safety and well-being of the minor children and renders the current temporary mediated parenting plan unworkable and contrary to the children's best interest. Okay, I was like, what the hell was that sentence? That was a mouthful. And this is according to his filing. Now, Biermann claimed that he was ready to show through expert and witness testimony that Zolciak is both unstable and unfit as a custodial parent, and therefore he asked the court to immediately award him sole custody of their children. The couple has been separated since 2023 and has been in a lengthy divorce battle ever since August of that year. So they've been, child, y'all ain't divorced yet. It is 2026, and y'all about to be. This thing is about to go about as long as Bethany's with Jason Hoppy. Remember that one? That was a mess. I feel like she was caught up in a divorce with him for I think it lasted like 10 years. Hopefully it doesn't get bad to that point. That it lasts about as long as y'all been married. Because they were married around 10, 11 years before this whole breakup situation happened. So Bimbofication filed for divorce in May of 2023, with Zolciak doing the same shortly thereafter. The following July, they briefly reconciled before Bimbofication filed for divorce again in August of 2024, and then again in early 2025. Yeah, they wore me out with all this back and forth. And he had also previously requested for sole custody in August of that year. So there's just been a lot, accusations of neglect, all this other stuff. I don't even know what to do at this point, except, child, y'all just need to get cameras in on all of this and film it at this point. Because this shit going on now is more exciting than that Don't Be Tardy tight-ass show that y'all had on Bravo for 8 damn seasons. Now, y'all want to talk about DEI and affirmative action type stuff? These two should not have been given a damn reality show. For what? But y'all don't give the other girls from the Housewives of Atlanta. Well, y'all did give Candy one, but Candy is different. Kim just basically just got, was rewarded for whatever reason, and her show was about as dry as that wig she be wearing. But yeah, I'll be keeping abreast of this story as it develops, because these two are just a hot ass mess at this point. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story coming from Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann's messy relationship? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Not Tiger ain't shit. There was an article that there was a story that I was going to ask y'all, but I guess I could ask y'all and pass it, because I came across this from the Neighborhood Talk. So I want to pull this up. It's basically about the whole Druski situation, because I'm sure y'all heard the whole drama regarding Druski and him making fun of Erika Kirk. There's a drag performer, I can't not remember her name, that does the whole Erika Kirk parody thing. My friend David Laugh actually knows the queen that does her, and she's been running around I think she's doing like a comedy fundraiser thing with Marty Gould Cummings, and they all just doing like a mockery of the whole Republican Party. So I was like, wait, what the hell happened to my phone? All of a sudden it's on like the calendar and everything. Anyway, so there was something I came across in the whole Druski thing, but then of course Matt Rife over plasticized, and that's somebody need to lay off the damn surgery. Decided to jump in the comments or jump on social media and ask the following question. So I want to ask y'all. He basically said the Druski skit situation is funny to me. The skit is hilarious. People being offended need to grow up. But everyone defending the skit also needs to keep the same energy about all comedy. Don't go crying next time a bit upsets you personally. If jokes shake you to your soul so deeply, consider that you may be an emotionally underdeveloped human, not fit for this life. The world needs comedy. I agree to an extent. I think, Matt, you just sound dumb with this whole situation because you're trying to compare apples to apples. And to me, I do feel like, here's the thing. There's no such thing as reverse racism because a lot of people are like, well, look, yeah, if y'all out here doing whiteface, then we should be able to do blackface. And I'm like, do you even know the history of blackface? The history of blackface stems from the fact that they wanted to prevent black people from being on screen. So you basically painted white folks to be able to do the job and perpetuate black stereotypes in blackface. That was the point of that. With the whole thing with black people dressed up in white as white people, whatever, it's jokes, it's mockery, it's pointing a picture. Same thing like with this horrible ass episode we just saw with RuPaul's Drag Race where they were doing the Karen thing. I hated that episode. Hated the whole episode. Hated the way a certain elimination went down. I don't think them Karen videos were funny. And that was like, it just goes. I just feel like that episode was just, y'all created an episode because y'all running out of ideas to come up with for challenges for these people to do on that damn show. So I don't agree with all of it. I do agree that, yes, I'm all for unfiltered, messy type of comedy. If you're going to make fun of people, if you're going to make like jokes of surrounding people, but if you're going to do those offensive jokes, they need to be clever. You got to be able to make them funny. You can't just be like, well, like the whole Tony Hinchcliffe version of comedy, which is, oh, I can't say tranny, so I'm just gonna say tranny because it's funny. I'm like, it's not funny, it's derogatory because we know in the contents of what you're making it for. Or when you have certain comedians who are part of the LGBT community that will sit and make derogatory comments like, oh, you're looking for the shock value, but there's no setup, there's no creative way of you a clever way of making the joke. And that's the way that's the way I look at it. It's like, if you can find a clever way to make the offensive joke funny, then I'm here for it. Not just to say something derogatory for the sake of just being derogatory and for shock value. To me, that's not funny. You're just trying to be shocking, and then you end up looking stupid. So just because you want to be able to say something and it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's a snowflake, everybody's sensitive because they're calling you out on the fact that, yeah, you said something offensive, but it's not funny. If it was a way to get us to laugh, then there's that. But some of the people in the comments said this. One person said they want to do blackface so bad. The other person said they have made jokes or still making jokes about George Floyd. Wrap this conversation the fuck up. The other person said basically he's saying he making a blackface skit. Well, Matt ain't that damn done because he'll get the shit slapped out of him. Another person said he hit us with the All Lives Matter response. The other person said, where was all this energy when Trump made that gorilla video of the Obamas? Oh, that was dead quiet over that. Another person said, in other words, he wants to make fun of black people and use the N-word openly. Well, Amber Hose gave y'all permission, white people, to use it. And that's why I said, go ahead. You listen to that dumb bitch and watch, and don't be surprised when you get the lights knocked out of you. Another person, a lot of y'all clearly don't know the history behind blackface, saying if they did it, like it's comparable, it's sad. Another person said he want to do blackface and it's killing him that he can't do what Druski does. Well, Druski's actually funny, unlike Matt Rife. And I work to a Matt Rife shows. He's not funny. You cute to look at. And I think he's funny when he does the banter. I feel like Matt Rife is strongest when he does the off-the-cuff banter with the audience. I feel like maybe he just needs to focus his show on that. That's his strength. When he goes in and he'll have conversations with people in the audience and ask them questions and all this other stuff, and he's able to come up with funny stuff off the cuff. That's when he's funny. When he tries to do regular stand-up, the jokes ain't there. Because I remember I worked his show, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, this show, when is it over? So Kristi Stefano was funnier than him. And I just worked his show because he just did a charity event I told you for us with the NYPD. Had me cracking up. Especially the joke he told about Indian cops. When he said that, I was like, oh my God. But anyway, he said last week's episode of Drag Race is the worst rated episode, I believe it, of the show, excluding global. Yeah, that was a horrible season. The season just keeps getting pied in the face. I just looked up Matt Rife on YouTube. I haven't heard of this man since he was on Wild 'N Out putting hands on Zayn. So y'all probably heard him, but yeah, he was like he was on Wild 'N Out. He blew up on Facebook and TikTok. I remember there was like little clips that was floating around. I had people that was sending me clips of some of the stuff he was saying, and it was pretty funny. But then he blew up and started selling out arenas. I remember he did a couple of nights at Madison Square Garden. And I worked a couple of those shows. But yeah, so that's how I kind of feel on it, is the fact that all comedy ain't the same. So for you to sit up there and say, well, yeah, y'all don't, I mean, if you can't get mad because a black man did the whole white face, you can't get mad if a white person does blackface. Black people have always been at the expense of other people when it comes to things. And we know the history of blackface, so it's not the same. And white people want to be oppressed so bad. Y'all want to be ostracized. Y'all want to know what that's like to be discriminated against. But you've always had the red carpet in the world. It's been your oyster. The red carpet's been rolled out to y'all since birth. So the way y'all be out here trying to experience discrimination and ostracification or whatever the case is, y'all never going to experience that. So no matter how hard y'all try to colonize other people's identities for your own. So that's all I got to say on that. But I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of that in regards to what Matt Rife said? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, y'all. Now, speaking of Drag Race, let's get into some Drag Race news, because we got to talk about a con within the Drag Race space, and that's other than Stacey Lane Matthews. So apparently there was a story that came out about Stacey Lane Matthews, which, what season of Drag Race was she on? Was it season 3? Season 4? I don't remember. So, season 3, that's what it was. So season 3 fan favorite, who basically helped make Henny part of Drag Race history, has revealed she is once again facing housing insecurity. Now, in a recent video she shared on social media, Matthews says she is not welcome at her mother's home and is being forced to leave without knowing where she will go. So I have that post, where I actually have the clips. You can hear it from Stacey Lane Matthews' mouth, and then we'll come back and we'll talk. Please hold.
All right. Well, I'm making this post because there's a lot of shit going on, and I'm not welcome at my mom's house anymore. So I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna grab some stuff and hit it. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's going on, but if there's anyone that would love to help me get a room, that would be fabulous. If not, I'll sleep in the fucking car. It doesn't matter. Anyway, stay tuned.
Okay, so and then I remember after I think I had first became aware of that post, I saw someone in the comments said, "Why is a person in their 40s still living at home?" And I'm like, typical Americans with this shit. Number one, there are a lot of foreign families whose family members still live with their parents. Also, you got to also realize that not everybody is well off and can afford to live on their own and be able to sustain the rent. There are people out here who are housing insecure. There are people out here, and then there's also people who, they live with their parents until they get married or whatever the case is. Or you have situations where, especially if you're LGBT, a lot of times the queer folks be taking care of their parents. So there's probably a lot of that. But I do wonder, hearing all of this, why is what happened, what transpired for Stacey to be in this situation? Because now I'm sure that your parents probably and your mother's probably known all this time that you a part of the Levitical community and you was on a drag competition series. You're one of the OGs. So let's get into the rest of the thing. So Matthews has since as follows financial support. She explained that she's currently waiting for disability benefits as she focuses on improving her health, saying, I'm just trying to get my health in order so I can start back working. The performer has faced ongoing health challenges in recent years, including a hospitalization in 2024 due to spinal stenosis and previously stepping back from drag amid mental and physical health struggles. So I know some people are like, well, why don't you go out and get a job like everybody else? Well, when you're sick, who the hell has the wherewithal and the energy to get up off their ass and go to work? Because we're one of the countries. That's why I just shake my head at this shit. Because I feel like we live in a country where you're not allowed to get sick. They want to work you to the bone. Like, even though technically we aren't slaves working in the fields for massa, I do feel like a lot of times in the workforce, they want you to work 40 to 60 hours a week, double job or double shifts, triple shifts, or working multiple jobs, trying to make ends meet. You still out here struggling. Everything's going up except for the living wages. And there are people out here where it's like, yeah, drag is her livelihood. That was the one thing that she was probably doing that she was good at, making a lot of money. And when you're sick and your body is pretty much, you physically are a freelance performer and you can't work and there's no money coming in. And I don't think she could apply for unemployment because I don't think unemployment benefits, you get that, but doing drag. So she's going through her struggles, and with medical insurance being what it is, and the fact that y'all charge people out the ass for to live health wise. What do you expect? So it's a combination of things. I don't think people should judge someone on their struggles or whatever it is that they're going through. So, in regards to that now, in case y'all didn't know who Stacey Lane Matthews was, but I'm sure y'all already know who she is. She would compete on season 3 of Drag Race, and she was a hit among viewers and won the Snatch Game as Monique. However, she was eliminated in the next episode, coming in 8th place, and she went on to have a guest appearance, excuse me, on Drag Race All-Star season 4, but she has not returned to the show as a contestant since then. So I feel for you, Stacey. Hopefully you get your stuff together. Hopefully things work out. But it's sad to hear when somebody out here is struggling. But it's just a mess out here in these streets, and it's hard out here for a pimp, as they say. So get well soon, sis. So I say all this to say, or should I say auntie? So now I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Stacey Lane Matthews getting on social media and revealing she's dealing with a lot of housing insecurity right now, and her mother kicked her out, and I don't know why her mother kicked her out, but I guess that's not any of our business. She doesn't want to share it. She has a right, but it's just a struggle. The struggle is real out here in these streets. I ain't got no more to say on this. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Yes, I like Matt Rife over his reels on Facebook, in which he banters with the audience, but his Netflix specials of sticking or stand up are and I've seen that funny enough, one of his Netflix specials I was there for. That was one of the events that I had worked that was filmed for Netflix. I think they filmed it over 2 consecutive nights, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that special was not funny. And you having to hear them same jokes multiple times, I'm like, ugh. Season 3, I had a feeling this topic was about. I love Stacey's country accent, a real North Carolina queen. Nina Bonina Brown also lives with her parents, and she's 41. Well, you said 43. Well, look, and my thing is this: if it helps, that you don't. I mean, if you're living at home with your parents and the house is paid off and you got your own little space and you don't have to spend like $1,500 on an apartment that you're gonna be out here struggling and stressing out whether or not you have enough money to be able to pay your rent on top of food and all these other things, then if you feel comfortable enough to want to live with your parents, I'm not judging. She was an alternate for All Stars 4, and she would have made my favorite cast of the show even better. I'd like to see Stacey come back, but I guess with her being so sick, I don't think she has the energy or the wherewithal to even come back to do the show. All right, y'all. So now let's go from the Olympics of drag to the NBA. And let's talk about this guard over there at the Chicago Bulls, Jaden Ivey, who basically lost his job as fast as he got it. So the Chicago Bulls have basically parted ways with Jaden Ivey over some pretty homophobic things that he wound up saying over there on social media. So let's get into this story. So after just 4 games with the Chicago Bulls, guard Jaden Ivey was waived on Monday evening following a live stream railing against the NBA's public shows of support for the Libidical Plus community. And it's funny, when you're going against your bosses, trying to call them out on their stuff, you don't think they'll be like, okay, sir, we're not fucking with you. Deuces. So the Instagram live session, which aired Monday morning ahead of the Bulls game against the San Antonio Spurs, was the third of its kind since Ivey was shut down on March 26 due to knee issues. In the previous live streams, the 24-year-old guard spoke exclusively about his here we go, these motherfuckers out here with their fake-ass religious beliefs, something he has not shied away from in recent press conferences relating to his ongoing injuries. But this particular live cast featured pointed anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric that proved to be too much for the storied basketball franchise. Saying, quote, "The world can proclaim LGBTQ, right?" Ivey said on Instagram Monday morning during the session that lasted over 40 minutes. They proclaim Pride Month, and the NBA, they proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come on, come join us for Pride. It's for Pride Month. It's to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it. They proclaim it on their billboards. You love that word, proclaim it. It feels like he learned a new word and just can't let it go, like a dog on a bone. They proclaim it in the streets, unrighteousness. Now, during a press conference following news that Ivey had essentially been released from his short-lived contract with Chicago Bulls coach Billy Donovan, addressed the team's decision to cut ties with 2022 number 5 draft pick, saying, "I think there's a certain level of standards and expectations that are here," Donovan said, according to The Athletic. I mean, we have people from all different walks of life working in the building and players from all different walks of life, right? So the first thing is everybody comes with their own personal experiences, but one is we've got to all be professional. I think there's got to be a high level of respect for one another, and we've got to help each other and then be accountable to those standards. Well, they go into a whole thing about him and his whole situation. I don't give a fuck about how y'all drafted him and all this other stuff. But here's the thing. You don't own the NBA, so you don't get to just willy-nilly say whatever you want without a consequence. You also need to realize that there are a lot of fans of basketball who happen to be gay. There are people, I mean, me working in, where I work and stuff, I'm working with the Knicks and all the other stuff. So you can't just be going up in there and saying negative things and thinking that you're just going to get away with it, and then it's just going to fly. And then we had ignorant ass, bussy, mad ass that decided to jump in. Nobody asked that butch queen to jump in and assert himself in the conversation and all writing in all caps like he fucking Kanye West, and then decides to jump in and talk about, well, nobody can't say nothing no more. This is the NBA who came down on him. This wasn't the gay community. This was the National Basketball Association. But of course, this Negro is so goddamn ignorant because he's bottom of the barrel, low level fruit when it comes to the hip hop situation or the hip hop music. I don't even know. Look, in the words of Mariah Carey, I didn't even know he rapped because he spends so much damn time out here worrying about the gays and the trans. Why are you so pressed? Like a panini when it comes to the LGBTQ community. That's the one that we ain't heard from this Negro in a month of Sundays. But the minute something about LGBT people come up, this old butch queen that's still, I think, traumatized over witnessing 2 niggas fucking up in the jail, still on that. Probably why? Because you wanted to be the Oreo in the middle? The cream in the middle of the Oreo? Is that what you wanted, sir? Because you so concerned with the gays and this, that, and the other. You can't just go around discriminating against people and thinking you're going to get away with that shit because we're all about diversity. One of the things about the Garden, we celebrate diversity. We celebrate Pride Night for hockey, which we just did last month. And we had Sarah Palin, bitch ass boyfriend, jump in the conversation, decide to be anti-queer or anti-LGBTQ with his comments talking about the reason why the Rangers lost Pride Night was because we celebrating Pride Night. I'm like, sir, the Rangers been losing all season. Where you been? We ain't gonna blame it on one night. Now that recently they've been winning. Now that they no longer in the playoffs, all of a sudden they want to show up and win. But before that, because they won last night, the game I worked last night, and all the recent home games they've been winning. So shout out to the Rangers. They had a big old nasty fight. I don't know if y'all saw that on TV, that big old fight that happened between the goalies. I have never seen the goalie sidebar. I've never seen two goalies go at it. Igor fucked him up though. But I've never seen two goalies go at it before on things. Like he skated his way across that shit to fight Igor, and Igor whooped his ass. And I was sitting there laughing. Well, I wasn't laughing. I was laughing on the inside, but I was watching because it was literally in eye line of my section that I was working that I saw it go to, because I was on the side where Igor was, as the goalie. So I saw it fresh eyes, didn't have to look at the screen or nothing. It was literally in my eye line. So I always get the good spots at the Garden. Shout out to all the people that put me in the good spots. But and same thing with the Knicks. When I be working there, it's like I get all the good spots. So you can't be running around here saying all this evil, gay, anti-queer, anti-gay stuff and thinking that you're going to get away with it, because you work with all different walks of life. It's not just some of the athletes that's probably in the closet that you're working with, but you're also working with a lot of people behind the scenes. Some of the people that work in the physical therapists, whatever the case is, probably LGBT, and they, when you having an injury or whatever and you being looked at, you could be dealing with somebody who is LGBT and you're discriminating, calling them unrighteous and all this other stuff. So you have to realize that in organizations, there's a plethora of different people that work in different departments that you're encountering. So you run around here spewing your religious rhetoric that nobody asked for on other people and thinking that you're just going to skate on by willy-nilly like you're not going to be affected. That's not how the world works, sir. And like I said before, when we celebrate Pride Night at the Garden, and for basketball and hockey, we don't be hearing nothing anti-LGBT, and we've been warned about it. It's like, if anybody says anything negative, I'll let it be known that, well, I won't. Any other time I will be confronting people on certain situations, but if it get a little too hot, I will call a higher up to have them deal with it, because I'm like, I'm not getting in the middle of that. And y'all want to sit them and lie on me and try to get me to lose my job. So I know the levels of who I need to call when it comes down to these messages. But sir, I hope that, look, you can say at the end of the day, you can say what you want to say. You can say it now because now you're unemployed. So you can say, so when people say, oh, nobody can't say nothing, whatever, you can't say a joke or this, that. I'm like, this is not a joke. When you're sitting there calling somebody's sexuality or who they're in a relationship with in a negative, and putting it in a derogatory negative term, there's no joke in that. It's always a joke when it's the other person that's affected. But then when somebody says something you don't like, then you want the same type of courtesy. No, bussy, that's not how that works. And that's not how it worked for you either, Ashy. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Jaden Ivey getting kicked off the Bulls after going on social media and spewing anti-LGBT rhetoric? Whatever your thoughts, because y'all have to remember that when y'all say stuff like this, okay, it's cute or whatever that you can go after the gay community and stuff, and let's discriminate against them. But if somebody comes out and says something against Black people, and I don't want to hear don't be equating Black with gay, why not? There's Black queer people. That's double the discrimination. So when a white person comes and says some shit to you, I don't want y'all coming out and all of a sudden wanting the sympathy and empathy, because discrimination is discrimination, regardless of the situation where it comes from. And it's discrimination against a marginalized group. So just because you got a little piece of, oh, they're not coming at us. Oh, when they're done with them LGBT people that you sitting there throwing that straight, you don't think that certain people gonna come after your ass next? Nobody's exempt, especially when you're considered an other in this world that is run and dominated by white people. So watch what you say, sir, and hopefully you'll learn, but I don't think so, because I guess your frontal lobe hasn't fully developed. So I don't feel like he's learned his lesson, because all that Jesus shit, look, it got your ass fired. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I remember when people thought of the radio booth. They thought he was a well. He do get bulldagger tease. I do agree with that. He do look like a lesbian. He kind of look like Brorilla. If you think about it, him and Brorilla, they could be related. He was born out of wedlock, so based on his logic, he shouldn't even be okay. That's funny how people always try to discriminate against other people. It's like, sir, I need you to look in your own glass house before you throw that stone. This is why I parted with religion like I have, because religion makes one dismissive of anyone that doesn't fall into the religious rhetoric they spew, even if they're these people in this, especially in this country, y'all are so sucked into this whole religious cult that y'all can't even see past your own bullshit. Could agree with that. That they probably wanted. That was probably the excuse. Like, you know what? Your first one, your knee fucked up. The season's almost over. I don't know if the Bulls going to the playoffs. I ain't been paying attention like that. I know the Knicks is definitely going to the playoffs. I'm still waiting on pins and needles for my schedule to get updated because I will most likely be working those playoff games. But yeah, when it comes down to it, it's like they probably wanted to get rid of him, but they're like, your knees fucked up. You ain't no use to us. You probably really ain't been playing all that well anyway. And so we'll just use this as the scapegoat. Be like, oh, you said something dumb. That's the nail in the coffin. Chop him. We don't want him. Deuces. So that could be it. All right, y'all. So now, last but certainly not least, let's get into our final topic. And let's talk about everybody's favorite website, Pornhub. You know, we got to change the word sometime because then, they try to flag me over certain things. So it's funny. We was talking about Kristi Noem husband earlier and his little fetishes, but it's like a lot of you older people, y'all being called out because they send a lot of older folks, but thinking particularly men, be the ones that be watching the T and LGBT content. So let's get into that story. Shout out to Out for this explosive tion. So once again, the older generation is consuming the most trans adult content. Pornhub just dropped their annual statistics for Transgender Day of Visibility. That was yesterday, the 31st. It's always on the 31st of March. And the spicy data shows that trans performers are more booked and busy than ever before. Even though they talk about that trans people are still in your jobs, or they're the ones that's doing this stuff, but y'all be over here beating y'all meat to the T-girls, to the dolls over there on social media. While anti-LGBTQ plus legislation has swept the nation since President Donald Trump's inauguration in 2024, the trans community is continuing the good fight by being unapologetically visible. And shout out to y'all because I love my trans girls and boys. In fact, many trans adult entertainers saw record numbers in viewership despite the hostile political climate. Emma Rose secured the #1 spot on Pornhub's 2026 stats for the second year in a row, while familiar faces Eva Maxim, Ariel Demure, not mindful, and Daisy Taylor rounded out the top 4. Let's break down the viewership in the past year. Now, Pornhub. Forgot we got to change the name to protect the innocent and to protect my algorithm. Data reveals Alaska as a top child. You think Sarah Palin man up in there watching that? Alaska as the top state that brings the most adult trans content in the U.S., while Louisiana, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Vermont round out the top 5. Now, from a global perspective, Italy takes the #1 spot for the country that watches the most erotic trans content for the second year in a row. Uruguay, UK, Brazil, and child, you already know about Brazil. And Puerto Rico make up the rest of the top places worldwide. Finally, the boomers take the crown as the age group who consumes the most trans videos on Pornhub. Isn't it ironic, don't you think? How the generation that speaks out against trans rights happens to be the biggest fan of the genre. The call is always coming from inside the house. And that's why I find it funny. That's why I said before, a lot of times when people pointing fingers at at you, the other 4 is pointing at themselves. I was trying to see if they if we have a graph. So yeah, let's go to their website and look at some of the people who they said is a part of the situation. That's why I said when these people be out here discriminating, I said, you know, you secretly want to hunch them. Now they said the most viewed trans performers. So we have Emma Rose, Eva Maxim, Ariel Demure, Daisy Taylor, Vic Katz. I never heard of any of these people. Sissy Milana, Kimmy Asian Trans, Femboy Hami, Vanal, or what is it? Is that Vanial? Puppy Girl XO, Shining 2022, Dota Dasp. There's a lot of names up in here. But let's scroll through because I ain't gonna read all these. So we got Eva Peaches. I like that name. Most searched trans terms: trans eps girl, transgender, trans eps guy, trans fuck straight guy, FTM, transgender big dick, trans. I ain't gonna be able to monetize this. Trans threesome, trans woman, trans cum, black trans anal, Asian trans Italiana, trans solo, trans cream. Oh, y'all be cream pieing out here, okay? Trans lesbians, trans man, trans dildo, trans cute trans gangbang, trans Latino. I didn't even know they had this many damn categories. Top trans viewing states: Alaska at 28%, Louisiana with 25%, Rhode Island with 21%, New Hampshire with 18%, Vermont with 17%, Michigan with 15%, DC with 13%, Maine with 12%, and Pennsylvania. Ohio with 11%, Maryland with 10%. 8% goes to Massachusetts, Colorado 7%. Then we have Iowa with 6%. 5% to Oregon, Wisconsin 4%, 3% goes to Delaware, West Virginia, and Connecticut, and 2% is in New Mexico. I'm just glad New York and Jersey is not on this list. Probably because we got so many trans people out here, people don't have to resort to the porn sites in order to get off. They can just hook up. And then we got their viewing countries. Italy at 90%. Uruguay with 77, 72 goes to the UK, 70 to Brazil. Puerto Rico, 54%, Dominican Republic, 43%, Colombia with 39%, Spain with 38%, 35% goes to Argentina. Portugal, don't cry for them. Portugal for 33%, not Israel, child, 30%, Iceland with 28%, and Greece. Costa Rica with 27%. 24%, blame Canada. Belgium with 19%, 18% goes to Switzerland, 17% New Zealand, the US with 16%, Norway with 14%, Albania with 13%, Armenia with 12%. They probably think Kim Kardashian is trans. Cyprus with 11%, and Finland, and then Chile with 8%. So popularity of trans corn, according to Google Analytics demographic data, men view trans videos 8% more than, of course they do. Men are visual creatures. So 8%, 8+% more than female viewers goes to men. 18 to 24 is the big demographic with 22%, 25 to 34, 1%, 35 to 44, 4%. And then of course, let's go to the older ones. The biggest demographics will be 18 to 24, which I do believe because I feel like more younger people have become used to trans people and probably are more open about being trans attracted or hooking up with someone who's trans versus a lot of the other generations. Because my generation, which would be 35 to 44. A lot of us, we were aware of trans people. Well, me being from New York, I was aware of trans people, but I don't think it was much of a big thing that we caught up on. But the older people, 65 plus, the boomers, 21%. So between the 18 to 24s and the 65 plus, y'all the ones that be out here being the biggest freaks. Then they got the trans terms searched more often by women. Where we have this, I'm sure y'all can see it. We can just scroll through. I don't feel like reading all of that. Trans terms searched more often by men. Oh, y'all like the curvy trans. They like the trans that got a little meat on their bone. Well, you know how men are. Men do like ass. That's something to hold on to. And without y'all having to buy, these body parts. So I think we pretty much got the gist of the whole thing. But yeah, so I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Are y'all surprised by any of this mess that I'm spewing out here? So in regards of the age group that surprisingly watches the most adult trans content, that it's 21, like it's kids who are in their early to mid 20s and men who are over the age of 65. Men out here who could apply for their AARP out here beating they meat to the T-girls. Shout out to the dogs. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts on this story in the comments down below. I mean, people actually give these websites their real birth child. Once they started putting all that stuff in the hub, I stopped going over there. I be forgetting that the hub even exists. That's why I'm still calling the hub. I forgot the thing existed until we come up with these annual things. But yeah, y'all putting in all y'all information. That's how they're able to track all that data and statistics. Shout out to Ariana Grande Frappuccino. I'm glad you know her name. And Vinny Hacker for celebrating Trans Day of Visibility yesterday. I love to see people celebrating during the toxic climate we're in. Agreed. You forgetting United States have VPN. Oh yeah, there's that. I forgot about the VPN. So they probably don't want people knowing that they watching it. So they'll mask that they're actually and be like, oh yeah, let me go to Chile and pretend I'm from Brazil or the Dominican Republic and mask the whole US situation. These, of course, you said that these southern states in the US are hiding. These stats take me back. Not your pickle days. There's an album I want to recommend to you, You by Underscores. She's a trans artist that originates from the hyperpop scene and recently released a glitch pop masterpiece inspired by top 40 pop music. So hold on, let me look that up. Why do I have 23 messages? I'll check them when Oh, they also just released. Everybody's coming out with me. Said March was a good month for music. Oh yeah, they have like a 9-track album they released on March 20th. So I'll check it out. They also had an album that came out in 2024. So yeah, I'm always down to checking out new stuff, all that stuff. So I'll check it out when I get around to it. Okay, you said actually the 18 to 24 is 22%. So it is, and so it is the 65 plus being freaky with 21%. That's why they both in the same kind of boat. She also cited Madonna's music album as an influence for her album. I'm sure you'll love her music. You know, I'm always about, I think one of the things I've always been more fascinated by, because I know some people get caught up in like vocals and this, that, and the other. I think I've always, because of me growing up playing instruments and stuff, I think I'm more or less, I have a producer's ear. So I'm always interested in production first, singing second. So all that comes, it's always got to be the production for me that really sucks me in. But anyway, all right, y'all. So it looks like we're at the end of today's show. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the latest episode of Chris Savile Unfiltered. Once again, one final time before we get up out of here. If you have not already, please hit that like button, smash the notification bell, hit the subscribe if you haven't, so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Savile Unfiltered. I'll be back on tomorrow with a brand new episode of the show. Yeah, I'm not working tomorrow, but I will be back working on the weekend. So I'm enjoying all these little days off that I can. So I'm gonna give you all a show tomorrow, Lord willing, if there's any interesting topics that's going on. You know, I will always find some tea to spill upon this messy show. So yeah, love you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for jumping up in the comments, leaving comments, and the back and forth banter, all that good stuff. You know how we do on this show. So yeah, love you all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. And until next time, ciao, darlings.